You know, what happened was we had a ton of people who were interested this time around, and there were two things that Danielle and I noticed, I think, were holding people back from signing up this time around. Number one, everyone that did it last session were like the very hardcore gym folk who don't really need any impetus to do something, right? Like they see something like, oh yeah, that's for me. And so I captured a quarter of the entire gym's membership in one fell swoop.
Right.
And this time around, the people that we saw and that we talked to, and they're like, yeah, I think I want to do it. What we noticed is that doing this all in one session was too overwhelming for them.
Right.
And so I'm actually going to now take all of this content and I'm going to break it apart into independent one-off classes. So just pre and post workout food.
Right.
And then just meal planning.
Oh, yeah.
And just kitchen prep. Right. And so that might be an easier way for them to digest it. They'll still get all the information. It'll take them longer to get through it. It'll be more expensive.
Right.
But they will have the opportunity to just do one thing that seems less overwhelming to take on.
Right.
And, you know, we'll give them the opportunity to still get the content over time.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, did anybody sign up for the second session?
No, and I decided to postpone that start date. For the people that went through session 1 already, my last meeting with them was anywhere from 3 to 1 week ago.
Right.
And I gave them a whole nother set of things they need to do over 21 days.
Yeah.
And only 2 of them said that you give a self-assessment at the very end of whether or not you reached the goals that we're going to lay out tonight.
Right.
And only 2 of them that said they want to do level 2 were at once across the board. So they're not ready yet. So I'm going to keep, continuing to follow up with them. And I follow up about every 2 weeks just to see if they're staying on track.
Right.
And then I'll give them the opportunity. And I might just take level 2 and break it out as well and just do independent classes. But in order to do that, I need to see that you have taken at least one of the foundational courses before that. You know, because otherwise there's going to be things in there that they're not going to understand.
Right.
So we'll see. They're all learning at the same time.
Totally.
Yeah. How's your day so far?
So far, so good. Yeah, I worked and I had decent energy today, so I got off work and I didn't have to nap. I just kind of hung out and made some food and took care of shit around the house and watched.
Great.
I'm trying not to eat as much sugar, and I'm watching the British Baking Show, and I'm like, it's a great show, but it's like, maybe it's not the best choice right now.
You know, I will tell you, I love that show. Luckily for me, I don't have a sweet tooth in my body. I'm a salty person all the way. So, well, it's a double-edged sword, right? I don't want cake, I want French fries and potato chips all the time.
Right.
So figuring out.
I want those things too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Well, the good news is there's a couple things you're going to see recipe-wise over the next 6 weeks that are great substitutes for that. And they're not even really substitutes. I mean, yam fries is a recipe you're going to get tonight.
Right.
And it's really easy and super straightforward, and I've been making them for years, and now that's actually what I prefer to have instead of, like a restaurant French fry. So we'll see if we can't find some good fixes for you.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Great. Okay, so on your direct right there is your whole packet, and I'll take this board away so you don't have to have that, but that's your whole packet there. So we're going to start with that very top piece, that little tiny square. That's your goal sheet. So before we get started filling that out, what I want to do is talk you through how you should think about what you're going to put in those slots, okay? So at the top one, obviously you're going to put your name in there. Now, ordinarily, I assign each person an accountability partner.
Right.
So you can take a guess who your accountability partner is.
You.
It's me. And for the sake of doing this with you, I'm going to do goals as well. So you'll get mine and I'll get yours. And that way it'll be a nice equal playing field, and you'll be able to see how it is that we tie together. And also, I always have goals, right? I mean, I'm not immune. I'm just like everybody else.
Yeah.
So I'm going to grab the other little sheet that I have that's the same, and I will do some goals that are related to this. And that way we can all play along. Here's my extras from tonight. So the way that we think about goals on a regular basis is sometimes a little bit different than the way that I want us to think about them in here. So have you ever heard the acronym SMART goal?
Yeah, it's like, yes, I have. It's like measured, accountable.
Yeah, so SMART goal is, first of all, specific.
Specific, yeah. Okay.
So specific, measurable.
Measurable, that's what it was, yeah.
Achievable / accountable, or actionable.
Yeah.
Achievable, right? Realistic.
Right.
And time constrained. Okay, so there's got to be a timeline to it. Okay. So for each of these things, we need to think about when we're positing. Okay, what is the one habit I will break?
Right.
That's what it said. It should say it got cut off a little bit, but one habit I will break is. Okay, so for the next 6 weeks, and really even just, let's tighten it down a little bit. So we actually are gonna think about this in terms of 3 weeks, okay?
Okay.
And we're gonna change this one, instead of it being New Year's, we're gonna change it to be like the end of March. Okay, so
Okay.
that's a 12-week goal. So the first two are gonna be just 3 weeks,
Okay.
then the last one's gonna be 12 weeks, okay?
Okay.
So, one habit I will break is. So think a little bit about what kind of habits you have that you wanna break,
Right.
and then whichever one floats to the top first, run that through the acronym. Is it specific? So I'm gonna take a second, I'm gonna think of one of my goals, one of my habits I wanna break.
Okay.
You go ahead and take one too. When you have one, just say I've got it,
Okay.
and then we'll run it through and see if that works, okay?
Okay. I just had like 3 things come to mind.
There you go. Also, there's graph paper at the back for scratch paper, so if you wanna write them all down,
Okay.
you've got some space there to just jot notes.
Cool. Oh, good. They already have holes in them.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Shoot.
I know.
All of them are like, I don't want to quit them. I want to like not do them as much.
Yeah, that's the thing about habits, right?
When you read my thing, it's like, I should do this. Hold on.
It's okay, go ahead.
I have, and I didn't mean to use the word paradoxical because it didn't work, but I just couldn't think of any other word to use.
Mhm.
But I have the 2 things: either I go too hard and I fail,
Yep.
or I try to like be like I can be responsible with
Moderation,
sugar,
yeah.
and then I just go to shit with
Totally.
that too.
Yep.
So it's like,
That's why we're doing accountability partnerships.
okay,
So you're in good hands, I promise.
okay,
I will tell you the success rate with getting people's habits broken is very high. I'm tracking them, I am like doing metrics against them and making sure that as people are filling these out, they're doing it in a way that isn't gonna set them up for failure.
okay.
And I'm gonna put yours to the test after you figure out what it is.
Well, probably okay. I think I did.
Okay, so go ahead and tell me what yours is.
Well, I put drinking sugar and eating out, but I think eating out.
Okay, so let's pick one of those for the first 3 weeks.
That's what I mean. Just eating out.
Okay.
That's what I want.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you wanna break the habit of eating out.
Well, I don't want to never do it though.
Okay, so then let's be more specific.
Yeah, that's S is specific, so maybe like 2 or 3 times a week.
Okay, so how many times a week do you think, how many meals per week, Monday through Sunday, do you currently eat out right now?
Well, not counting work, because I work at the co-op and so I eat like off the salad bar, so
Okay.
I don't really call that eating out.
Okay,
But still, like at least 5 times.
okay, now if you included the meals that you ate from the co-op salad bar, 10 times a week you're eating, 10 meals
Yeah,
from Monday through Sunday are not cooked at home.
that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to include the ones at the co-op because it's not just where you're sourcing the food from, but it's a habit mentality, it's
It
habitual.
is a habit. Yeah.
Right? So what we want to be doing is trending toward making the food at home,
Okay.
okay? So even if you bought things at the co-op in a larger quantity and not the salad bar and took
Right.
them home and prepped them out, that's more important for breaking that habit
Right.
than saying it's okay to do it at the co-op because the food on the salad bar is healthy, which is true.
Right.
But what we want to do is try really hard to attempt to break the physical action of that habitual behavior.
Okay.
Okay, so in the first slot you are going to write one habit I will break is, and I would put something, you have to put this in your own words, but something to the effect of only eat out 2 or 3 times a week instead of 10 times a week. Okay, so make sure that it's specific and that it's measurable.
Okay, so yeah, so and this is including. So I'm gonna put 3. I'm gonna put 3. Only eat out 3. One habit I'll break is eating out more than 3 times a week.
There you go.
Doesn't sense.
There you go, perfect.
I'll save money too if I don't eat out at work every day.
Totally. I mean, that's always an added bonus. And you will see that the way that your spending habits look will definitely change over the next 3 to 6 weeks. And we'll talk about that later on tonight.
Including work. And-
Great, yep, including work.
All right.
Okay, good. So let's quickly run through, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Oh no, that's. I was just gonna say we should start the acronym.
Yep,
thing.
good. Okay, so is it specific?
Yes.
Great. Is it measurable?
Yes.
Is it achievable?
Maybe.
good. You know what? Also, if it doesn't feel slightly outside of the achievable spectrum, it's not
Right.
really a goal,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Like we want, if you knew 100%, like, yeah, I could easily do that, it's not really pushing yourself.
Okay.
Just like we're in the gym, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Same thing.
I'm just writing them down here.
Yeah.
Achievable on a. What was our again?
Realistic.
Yes, it's realistic.
Great. Okay, and then timeline or time constrained. Is
Right.
there a timeline to this? So we know that we're going to do this one for 3 weeks first. So 3 weeks from today would be, I'll tell you, here. Let's do this. I'm not that good at memorizing dates, but today's the 16th, so that puts us into February. I'm guessing February 8th is my guess, but just takes it a second here. Okay, so February 6th.
Okay.
Okay, so your date is February 6th, that's my date too.
Okay.
Okay, now, we're gonna go through mine quickly just so that you know what mine is.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a night owl, and one thing I really struggle with is my hunger timeline. Hunger timeline is something we're gonna talk more about in second class.
Okay.
Okay, but just so that you're aware of it, it is when I wake up, how soon do I eat, and then I'm awake for all these hours, and then I go to sleep. How far before I go to sleep do I stop eating?
That's the bane of my life is this.
Okay, that's okay, and I know you wrote that in there, which is why I wanted to at least tell you that it's there now.
Yeah.
And if we have time tonight, I'll give you a little bit more information about that, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so it's hard for me to stop eating in the later hours in the evening because I'm a night owl. All my
Right.
energy's in the evening. I eat dinner, and then 2 hours later I'm hungry again, which
Yeah.
sometimes is a good thing because I had a hard workout. I fueled my body well all day long,
Yeah.
and I'm still hungry. My metabolism is still going. Okay,
Right.
that's not my default. I had to train myself to get there.
Right.
I am a fit person in a fat kid's brain.
Sure.
So I really had to work hard in order to make myself be hungry every 2 or 3 hours. But now that I'm there, it's hard
Right.
at night to turn that off. Okay?
Right.
So my goal or my habit I'm gonna break is eating after 9:30 p.m.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So no snacks. I have some tricks, and I'm gonna share those with you tonight so we get ourselves onto the right track with, okay, I'm still hungry, or I'm having a craving for something, it's late at night, what do I do? We'll go through that later, okay?
Right. Now, what time do you go to bed?
Usually 11 to 1 a.m. I'm a real night owl because of what I do for a living.
So, oh yeah, because you're the cook.
I cook. So if and now I'm not cooking in anyone's restaurant now, but it's a trained life behavior. I just don't go to bed until usually most nights about 12:15 in the morning.
So you're giving yourself 3 hours-ish before you go to bed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is okay. It's not, I mean, I wish I could make it 8, but baby steps, right?
Yeah.
Is it achievable? Is it realistic?
Yeah.
Okay. So is mine specific? Yes, it is. Is it measurable? Yes. If I eat after 9:30 p.m., I didn't complete that, breaking that habit for the
Yeah.
day. It is achievable. I know I can do this.
Right.
I'm better than my cravings, and it is realistic,
Right.
and I had my time constraint.
Right.
Okay?
9:30, yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the second one unless you have questions.
No, I'm
You're tracking.
good.
Okay, so the next one is one skill I will learn is. Now this can be food related, it can be life related, it can be athletic related. It doesn't have to be just about this. If it is, that's great.
Right.
But same rules apply. So think about all the things you've been thinking to yourself, oh, I really want to learn X, or I'd really love to try Y.
Right.
So come up with whatever that is and let me know when you think you have it.
This might take me a second.
That's okay, take your time.
Skill. I'd like to get, I haven't wrote it down yet, but I'd like to get better at food prep because I'm okay at it,
Okay, great.
but I only have a couple things I can do.
Totally fine. I promise you that you will actually, and that was a big skill that a lot of people wrote down last session. They wanted to get better at either meal prep or meal planning or both.
Oh, meal planning. Yeah, well, both, because my thing is I prep and then I don't run out at the same time with everything,
Yep.
so then and things end up getting
Totally.
staggered, and
Yep.
then I'm not doing a big prep up. I'm just
Ad hoc.
yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I would. So here's what I'm going to say to that. You will, I promise you, learn to be better at those things. That's
Right.
all Class 2 focuses on,
Right.
and that's in 2 weeks' time.
Okay.
So leave that for now.
Okay.
Pick something else.
Okay. Darn it. Do you already have yours?
I do have mine, but that's okay. It's something I actually am starting to work on tomorrow. So
Okay.
it's not fair. So
Right.
take your time.
Shit. What's yours, just to help me figure out?
Sure.
mine?
I actually am taking up snowboarding again, and I haven't been on the mountain in
Oh,
almost
fun.
10 years.
Okay.
And I'm going up tomorrow to take a lesson.
Right.
So my skill I want to learn is snowboarding an intermediate chair at Mount Baker.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I
Yeah.
have no idea what it's going to be like tomorrow. I surf now, and I just came back from a surfing trip, and I'm feeling pretty good about that. And I've
Yeah.
never been stronger. That's for sure. I've
Right.
never been able to lift as much in my entire life as I can lift right now, and my endurance is the best it's ever been. So I feel like I've got a pretty good foundation,
Yeah, you do.
but I haven't been skiing or snowboarding literally probably since 2009. So
Oh, wow.
almost a decade.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's helpful. Actually, I just thought of something now. I forgot it. Darn it.
It'll come back to you.
Well, one thing that you don't get here that you get kind of at other places is like mobility work and that sort of stuff. So
Mhm.
maybe like a skill. Is that a skill though to get on the line and just figure out some good mobility stuff?
Yeah,
I
like
can do
foam
for-
rolling and things of that
That
nature.
sort of stuff,
Yes,
yeah.
and actually next Wednesday night we are having a mobility workshop here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with a really wonderful practitioner. He's my guy actually. His name is Adam Faniff. He
Oh, cool.
owns another place called Apex Chiropractic,
Okay.
and he does chiropractic, but the bulk of his work is all in mobility training. Almost like a PT would go at your mobility training
Right.
and putting you through exercises. And he does active release therapy where
Right.
he'll find the spot of muscle tissue that's contracted, and he'll push into it and then take your limb through a range of motion to help open that up, and then he gives you exercises that you can do at home in order to maintain that mobility. So he's
Right.
going to be teaching an hour-long workshop next Wednesday night here at the gym, and that would be a great opportunity for you to start on and then follow through with some of those things, and in addition to whatever else you might find online.
Right. It's just I'm not totally blind to that. Like it's not like
Yeah.
it's a skill that I want to get better at, but it's not one that I'm just completely like
In the dark.
in the dark.
That's okay. I mean,
Okay.
I know how to snowboard, but it's been a decade, right? So
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
It's still measurable and specific, right? So
Right.
let's think about how to make that a specific goal. So if your goal is to be more mobile, maybe we put it in terms of number of days per week that you will do stretching or foam rolling, etc.
Right.
And it'll take a little bit of time for you to find some stretches to start with.
Yeah.
So maybe you go online tomorrow or tonight and you find 3 to 5 things
Right.
that you can do at home with whatever you have around. Maybe it doesn't require anything more than a towel,
Right.
right? And then next week you get a few more under your belt and you can add those to your repertoire that you're
Yeah.
doing X number of times a week.
Right.
Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah, that does because
Okay.
I know a bunch. I think I should be able to figure out like 3 things.
Great.
So is finding. time to do it.
You do, yeah, you really do. And studies have shown that if you don't stretch as much as or with the same frequency that you work out, you're actually losing mobility, right? Because your
Right.
muscles are getting tighter and tighter as they continue to get stronger.
Right.
When the muscle tissue repairs, it's getting tighter. That's why we feel tight and sore.
Right.
But if we're not stretching in order to maintain the length and the flexibility of that muscle,
Right.
you're actually doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
So they go hand in hand. It's not I did this so I don't have to do that. It's I did this so I must do that.
Right.
Make sense?
You know what would be really neat is just to like do like a 15-minute, because you can just put in Google and you'll find whatever. Like
Yeah.
these people are good, but
Yeah.
what I never do is I always watch the video. I never learned it enough to where I can just do it on my own without
So
watching
maybe
the
you need
video.
to find one that you do the same one over and over and over
That's
again.
what I was thinking,
Yeah.
and then the goal down the road can be that I don't have to watch the video.
100%. That's great.
Because I can do like flow fit like that. Like I don't have the mobility to do flow fit very
Yeah.
well, but I can do it.
Okay.
Like I can memorize stuff like that, but I've just never done it with yoga. So
Okay.
So I'm just gonna find 3 mobility exercises to work on 3 days a week.
Okay, great. I think that's wonderful. Now, are you in here 3 days a week?
I'm now. I'm on like week 5, but I did a free week too, so
Yeah.
I'm basically on week 6. But
Okay.
over the holidays, 2 of those weeks I was only able to come 1 day.
Yeah,
A week.
same. Okay, great. So, did you fill it? So it's in this sheet now.
Ta-da!
Oh my God, perfect. Okay, so let's run it through the acronym. So, is it specific? Yes.
Yes.
Is it measurable? Yes.
Yes.
Is it actionable/achievable?
Yes.
Yes. Is it realistic?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and is it time constrained?
3 days a week.
3 days a week, and we're going to put the same deadline on this one by February 6th.
6.
Okay?
So when you say by February 6th, I guess I'm supposed to reach this. So like for example with eating, you're gonna, especially because you're just with me, you're gonna hate it because I think about
Yep.
everything like way too much.
It's okay.
Um.
I have one thing to tell you. I know the question you're about to ask me, and I'm going to answer it in about 3 minutes.
Okay.
Okay? So,
Okay.
hang on to it.
Okay.
If what I'm about to tell you is not the answer to your question,
Right.
bring it back up.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Same thing happened last class with everybody else, and I'm totally used to it.
Okay.
I got your back.
Okay.
Okay. Let's move on to the next one.
Okay.
Okay? So, scratch out by New Year's.
By 2/6.
Okay? And actually, no, this is the longer one. This is our 12-week goal.
Okay.
Okay? So, this one's got a bigger chunk to bite off. So, we're going to put March 31st on this one. So, we know we've got our T in our acronym. So, by March 31st, I will be. Okay?
Wonderful.
Not measurable, not specific.
Damn it.
So this is sort of a bigger picture goal, okay?
Right.
Now I will tell you, last session some people put weight loss goals, and
Right.
that's totally fine, as long as we make sure that they're specific and measurable, and we have to be able to know what our starting point is. Maybe they're not weight-based, maybe they are sleep-based, like I will
Right.
be sleeping at least 7 hours a night, which is something
Yeah.
I struggle with. I'm really under or I'm really over, but
Right.
I'm never really in the middle,
Yeah.
okay? Or I know what mine will be, and mine's going to be more well-read. I have
Okay.
all these books at home I want to get through,
Right.
and I really, really, really want to work on it, and I just haven't been chipping away at it.
Yeah.
So this is something that's going to take more work on my end. So
Right.
that's what mine is. I'm going to figure out how to make that specific here. But mine isn't related to working out or nutrition or sports or anything like
Right.
that. It's going to bleed over into a different part of my life. But
Right.
it's something I want to do for me because it's something that's been looming that I've been thinking about for quite some time.
Right.
So take a minute and think about if there's something like that you have.
Okay.
Or it could be related to travel or how home repairs or all sorts of things. Or you want to learn a new art or something like that.
Right. With my reading, I just set a timer. I just tell myself
I
I'm
know.
gonna read for an hour, like so many days a week.
Yeah.
When I go to the coffee shop, and I just set. I know that seems lame because
No, it doesn't seem lame. It's awesome, and I wish that I was doing that, and I'm just not yet. So that's one of the things that I'm going to work on. All right, figure out what yours is.
by 3:31 I will be. Oh yeah, we're off schedule already.
It's okay. It's okay. Do you already meditate?
No, but I have plenty in the past, so that's maybe not a good one because
Okay.
that's something I can just, if I need to turn it back on, it's not like it's difficult for me to do.
Okay.
Um,
It's up to you. It doesn't have to be something brand new. It could be that if you think meditating will benefit you in a great way and you want to try and do that again for 12 weeks, then great.
that would be, it's two things. So that's sometimes you might need to give me these questions before we meet up.
That's okay. I didn't want you to think about it too far in advance either.
Okay, I need to do a creative thing. So I like to write,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not writing right now except for journaling.
Okay.
But cause like part of one of my main like things that I try to, that I know is good for my well-being is being creative. And I really like to do improv, but I just don't have the money to do the classes right now. And I like to write, so I want to make it something where I'm writing creatively, like this much every week. So I got to think about what that's going to be. But I think that's good, just because I'm covering like things that are, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
things that are values or whatever
Yeah.
you would call
Core
them.
values. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, so how about this? For right now, why don't you write in there that by March 31st, you will be
Mhm.
writing, comma, with a plan for frequency and content goals.
I think you're better than this.
It's part of my job, right?
Yes.
Okay, so here's why we left part of that measurable and part of that open.
Okay.
This goal is something that is going to add joy to your life,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
and it's going to help you feel more balanced. And
Yeah.
so, we don't want to make it feel like a chore, we want to make it feel like an opportunity, okay?
Yes.
So, even though you don't quite have it dialed yet,
Mhm.
that's okay.
Right.
Because I'm going to keep checking in with you every week on it.
Right.
Okay, so even if all you did was continue to journal for the next couple of weeks while you get these things under your belt,
Right.
and then maybe it comes up again in conversation, and I'll ask you like, okay, well, have you started putting the plan together of what you want to achieve within writing this year? And maybe
Right.
you switch from writing and journaling into putting together a quick plan of types of things you want to achieve with your writing for
Yeah.
the year.
Yeah.
Okay, and maybe by the end of 331, you've got a plan for types of things you'd like to achieve within your writing,
Yeah.
and now you're set up to actually do that and start working the plan.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, let's run it through the acronym. Is it specific?
Um, yes.
In a way, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it measurable?
Yes, because there's a plan.
Yeah. So either every week you will be writing, or
This-
you will be planning,
Yeah.
or you didn't,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it achievable?
Yes.
Okay. As long as you feel it's achievable.
Oh yeah, I do.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. And is it realistic?
Yes.
And is it time constrained?
Well, yeah, because it says by 3:30.
That's right. Okay, great. Then
Is
you're
that a
good to go.
loophole?
No.
Just kidding.
Okay, so you're good to go.
All right.
I wrote mine to say by March 31st, I will be more well read, reading at least one, if not two books per month.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so there we have it. Okay, so this I want you to put on your refrigerator
Okay.
for two reasons. Number one, I'm going to be texting you about it.
Okay.
Okay. And number two, there is, they talk about when you do a vision board, you have to put it in a place that you walk by every day.
Yeah.
Because subconsciously it's registering all the time.
Yeah.
So by having this on your refrigerator, how many times a day are we in our kitchen?
A lot.
A lot, right? Doing dishes, packing, unpacking, eating, cooking, all that. So have it be somewhere eye level, right? So you can see it. And if you have
Right.
friends over, they're like, oh, what's that? And then you're talking about it, you're enrolling people in your
Yeah.
life, in your goals,
Yeah.
which makes you more motivated. It makes them hold you accountable as well.
Right.
And it begins a dialogue with the people in your life about things that are currently important to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's put this away and let's
Into
move
it.
on.
Okay.
And I'm going to now tell you how you're going to keep track of that, which I believe may have been part of your question. So if you go to the very last page before your graph paper, and you can take that paperclip off if you want and pop all that stuff in your binder, it's up to you. Okay. So the very last page in that packet, right there, that one, that is your new habit tracker.
Okay.
Okay? So here's how this is gonna work. When you get home tonight,
Okay.
you're gonna write down every single one of those things that we just created
Right.
into one per line on the habit tracker.
Okay.
Okay, so if you look at the top, you'll see that it runs for 21 days.
31.
No, well, it gives you 31. Okay, so this is for a month, but what we're focusing on is just the
3
21
weeks.
days, which
Yeah.
takes us to February 6th. And the
Okay.
reason that we're doing that is because it's scientifically proven that if you perform a behavior or an act consecutively for 21 days,
Right.
it will become a habit. If
Okay.
you miss a day, you have to start over and count back at day 1.
Okay.
Okay?
Some whole 30 stuff.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
I work at 5 a.m. tomorrow, so I'm not gonna like be able to prepare a meal for lunch for tomorrow.
Okay, that's okay, because remember what you said is no more than 3 times out total per week.
Yeah. So that's one. Okay. Yeah.
It's okay, but this is good. It's giving you some
Yeah.
rigidity. It's giving you some structure,
Right.
right?
Yeah. It's fine. And then I can get. And then I have Friday off, so then I can kind of get my eggs
In a basket.
in
Yeah.
a basket, and then by Saturday I can have a meal that I bring to work,
Ready to go.
and then I can show the checkout lady because she's always like, "Did you make your smoothie this morning?" Yes, I did. Did you make a sandwich because you just paid $7 something for your sandwich?
Yeah.
Did you make a sandwich? Nope, I didn't.
Okay. Okay, so take one more look at that habit tracker in the back there.
Okay.
So there's going to be 2 sets of things that we're going to add in here, okay? And the first set of things are the goals we just created.
Okay.
And the second set of things are going to be related to what we're going to learn tonight, which is our pre and post workout smoothies.
Okay.
Okay? And that's the fuel that is going to change the way that you work out.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
So you're going to end up with 5 different things, 5 line items on that
Right.
tracker to start.
Okay.
And I want you to keep that with you at all times so that every day you have the opportunity to go back there and check off, did I do these things today?
Right.
Okay? And there will be times at which I will text you and be like, I need you to send me a picture of your habit tracker.
Right.
Text me a picture of it,
Yeah.
okay? And if we have missing holes in there, then we're going to talk about what the holes are for.
Okay.
Now, here's another thing. There are, obviously, if you're only coming here 3 days a week,
Right.
that means that you won't be doing your pre and post workout smoothies for those days that you're not working
That I'm
out.
not working out. Yeah.
Now you have a choice, and people have gone either way, and it's up to you. Some people have chosen to go ahead and make their pre and post workout smoothie 5 days a week, and they consume on the days that they're not coming to the gym, they consume it as a part of what they're eating that day. So they'll have it as part of their breakfast,
Right.
or part of their lunch, or a snack in the middle of the day.
Okay.
Your body will still utilize all that fuel.
Keeping the metabolism running.
It keeps your metabolism running. It's a great, not an emergency snack, but it's a great buffer if you're eating lunch and then an hour later you realize you're getting hungry, because what's going to happen is as we're doing this, your body systems are going to start to change,
Okay.
which in a great way, but you're going to be hungry when you don't expect to be hungry.
Right.
So some people have chosen to go the route of, I'm going to make that pre and post workout smoothie every single day. I'm going to have it with me,
Right.
even if I'm at work and I'm not going to the gym that day, and then it's part of my lunch, or it's my late afternoon snack before I get home for dinner.
Right.
So that's choice 1. Choice 2 is you're not going to make them on the days you're not coming to the gym,
Okay.
and that's okay,
Okay.
but you need to make sure that you're doing it for the days that you are in the gym, and that
Right.
you're crossing them off on the days that you're doing them. Okay? And then on the days that you're not at the gym, you can just put in a little, like NG for no gym or whatever you want in that
Right.
little square. That's
Right.
up to you.
NG,
So
yeah.
you don't have to decide right now. You
Okay.
can see what you think.
Right.
Are you planning to come to work out tomorrow?
Maybe. I'm trying to get a friend to start going here, so she might want to go on Friday morning, so I just have to think. But I paid so I can go to 4 classes, so maybe.
Okay.
It won't. Tomorrow's another hard day to get everything going because, like I say, I work at 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could probably get something going.
Okay.
But yeah, I think I'll do it because the thing is I'm still gonna buy a 4-pack even though I'm going 3 days a week because it only costs a couple more dollars. And what if I do want to go
What
4
if you
days
do?
a week?
Yeah.
So if I did go 4 days a week, then I would just couple it with workouts.
Okay.
That's probably what I'll do.
Okay, great. So how about this? I'll check in with you tomorrow in the middle of the day. I'll just give you a quick text around lunchtime.
Right.
And just say, hey, did you decide if you're going to go to workout tonight? And if so, which class are you going to go to, right?
Right.
Because at what time do you get off work tomorrow? Do you know?
I get off at 1, so I'll go
So
to
you-
4:30.
Okay, and that would give you plenty of time to actually grab all the things that you would need
Yeah.
for your pre and post, which you
Yes.
might already have some at home.
Right.
And if you don't, all of the things I'm going to tell you, show you, and recommend for you are purchasable at either Fred Meyer or the Co-op or Trader Joe's.
Okay.
And they're all inexpensive.
Oh yeah, I'm good with smoothies. I
Great.
just use a blender. I don't have
Yep.
anything cool, but
I have a Vitamix, but that's because it's my job,
right.
right? And
Yeah.
most people that were in class last session, half of them didn't even have a blender to start with, so they were starting from scratch and they had to go find one. And so,
Right.
and anyway, if you have one that you like, great.
Yeah, I like it. I would like to have something nicer, but for now it'll work.
Okay, great. And I have good recommendations about megahertz for the motors and all that jazz.
Yeah.
And that'll come later in an email, so you don't have to worry about that now. But if you have one that you can use, fantastic. We'll start with that.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, so let's boogie. Speaking of pre-workout, so you can fill that out later, the habit tracker, and then I'll check in with you tomorrow to make sure that you've got your various goals listed in there. Make sure you didn't have any questions about that.
Okay.
So go ahead and go to the second page, which is titled pre-workout. Okay, so I'm going to read through this first section just so that we really make sure we're on the same page and that you don't have questions as they're coming up, okay?
Okay.
So I did your basic guidelines for how you want to be thinking about pre-workout nutrition, okay? So number one, your timing. You definitely need to be eating before you come in and work out,
Okay.
okay? And it does two things for you. Number one, it does actually give your body specific types of fuel for it to burn first.
Okay.
Okay, that's important. You want your
Right.
body to be burning the right types of things, not the muscle fibers you worked on and created and built on last night or yesterday's workout.
Sure.
Okay? If you don't have food in your stomach, your body will go access its most readily available fuel, and that happens to be muscle fiber.
Oh, okay.
Not fat, unfortunately, for all of
Yeah,
us,
darn
right?
it.
Darn it.
Yeah.
Stupid body. Okay, number two, your body needs an indication that activity is about to happen. And when you feed it, it wakes up your digestive system, and that initiates a whole series of situations inside of your body and your digestive tract
Okay.
that indicate that activity will be happening because you just gave it fuel and now it needs to be able to burn that off.
Right.
Okay, so there's obviously all these automatic synapses that are happening in our system that we don't know that are happening. Just because we don't think about the fact that we're breathing doesn't mean we're not breathing, right? Okay, so timing. I want you to be eating your pre or post workout snack or smoothie between 15 to 75 minutes before you work out.
Okay.
Okay, now everyone has a different sweet spot, and people who work out very early in the morning have a very hard time with this,
It's gotta be at 15. Yeah.
right? Now I found what my sweet spot is. It is exactly 1 hour before I could get here.
Okay.
And we're going to actually taste the pre-workout smoothie that is in this recipe. I made the pre and the post for you so you can get an
Okay.
idea of what that's like.
Cool.
Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Great. So, timing, 15 to 75 minutes. Now, I will tell you this. For starters, the further ahead towards that 75-minute bracket,
Right.
the better. Because
Well, that's what I was gonna. Yeah.
obviously you want more time for it to digest, but not too much time so that your body doesn't think it's a workout thing, right?
Mhm.
However, the other part of it is that the ingredients in this smoothie, they're not synthesized, there's no sweetener, there's no added sugar. It's a very different change in flavor and texture than a
Okay.
lot of people are used to. And so
Okay.
it's not going to taste great the first week. Your taste
Okay.
buds are going to get retrained over the next 6 weeks based on everything I'm giving you, okay? So week 1 is going to be rough, and a lot of people had trouble with the pre-workout getting it down and feeling like it was palatable, and they would come in here and they had only had it 30 minutes before and they're feeling nauseous and gagging when they're drinking it, and they had to learn, like, okay, now I need to have it earlier. I need to try 45 minutes, or I need to try 75 minutes.
Right.
And take a couple gulps and then walk away from it for a minute and then come back and try it again. But
Right.
by about day 4 or 5, and this is why some people chose to do it every single day of the week,
Oh, to
they're
use-
normalized
yeah.
and they got used to it really fast, and they started seeing gains much quicker in the gym because their body knew every single day it was getting this thing and it was used to it.
Right.
So it's up to you. Okay? So I want you to think about when I'm going to come in at the 4:30 class, the very latest that I need to be eating is, 15 minutes is really pushing it. My goal would be to cut it off by 30 minutes. But
Right.
my ideal would be if you actually had it within an hour to an hour and 15 minutes before you got here.
Well, that's what I would do.
Great. Okay, perfect. So then let's talk about types of foods to eat pre-workout, okay? Choose foods that are easily digestible and palatable. So here's a great example. One food item that can be consumed in 2 ways that is still beneficial for your workout would be eggs. Do you eat eggs? Do you like eggs?
yeah.
Okay, great. So here's 2 polar opposite ways you can consume eggs before your workout. Number 1, you can literally crack 2 eggs into a skillet,
Right.
cook them and eat them.
Yeah.
Okay, that's way one.
Mm-hmm.
Way two is you can get egg white protein powder and put it into your smoothie.
Right.
Now, which one do you think is going to be easier and better for your system?
Oh yeah, because I might get like stomach distress from the eggs. So it's egg whey protein or no?
Egg whites, just egg
white.
whites, that's it. Nothing else in it. Pure egg whites.
I wonder if I get that at the co-op.
You do.
I could just throw that in the smoothie. I think for now, I'm gonna. Tomorrow I might use regular eggs to see. I want to try both to see
Yeah.
how it goes,
Yeah.
but it would be neat to just have something I could throw in the smoothie.
So I will tell you that in terms of easier digestibility, the egg white protein powder is much easier on your system.
Yeah, because sometimes the eggs like will give me a little bit. So.
Yep, it's a hard protein right out of the gate,
Right.
and when it is cooked like an egg in a skillet, it's also now a solid, right?
Yeah.
And so your body has to take more energy to break down the solid in your stomach,
Right.
and it's going to take a longer amount of time.
Okay.
Okay, so if all I had were eggs and I just cooked up, and sometimes even I get screwed up, right? And I realize like, oh gosh, I don't have enough stuff to make my smoothie, but I happen to have 2 eggs on hand. I'll cook those eggs up and I try to get them down as soon as I possibly can to give myself like the full hour and 15
That's
minutes.
the thing, yeah.
Okay.
You don't do it like Rocky?
No.
Okay.
So I always opt for the egg white protein powder if I can.
Okay.
Okay. And now that'll take us into our recipe here in a second. So I just wanted to give you like an idea of, okay, one thing could be prepared 2 different ways, and here's how that might impact my digestion and my prep for the workout. Okay?
So, would this be something you'd find in wellness, or would this just be, because I'm in grocery and I'm not sure that we have,
You guys have egg white protein powder.
okay, so it would be something in wellness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, it will be in the wellness area.
Okay.
Okay? And then quantity. So I'm just going to read through this here. If you train first thing in the morning, something is always better than nothing. Everyone is different, so experiment with different foods, quantity, and timing. And then I have a suggested list below that fit all of those criteria. Okay, so this talks a little bit about eating before a workout, not the smoothie, okay? So for people, again, who work out frequently in the morning, and some of us are I'm all over the board, so I know
Yeah,
I've worked
that's
out in the
like
same
me too.
class as you, but
Yeah.
then, because my schedule's all cattywampus.
Yeah.
So if you're going to, let's say you're going to work out at the 9:30 class,
Right.
okay? But you actually get up at 7,
Right.
okay? So your pre-workout smoothie is not your breakfast. That's
It's
basically
not,
the
that was my
gist
next
that I'm
question.
getting down
Okay.
to, okay? It's not your breakfast. Now, that said, I know that when I wake up at 7, I'm going to make my coffee and I'm going to do a bunch of things, and then by the time I realize like, oh God, I need to eat, now it's 8:15.
Right.
And now I'm kind of up against my threshold for my pre-workout,
Yeah.
okay? So rather than try to scarf down a big breakfast and then have my pre-workout, what I'm going to do is just have my pre-workout, okay? And I'm also going to make my post-workout shake, and I'm going to take that with me, all right? So I'm going to have my pre-workout, I'm going to work out, I'm going to have my post-workout right away as soon as I'm done,
Right.
and then I'm still going to eat like 30 minutes later.
Okay.
I'm going to have some sort of a breakfast, okay?
All right.
So the pre and post are not a replacement,
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's where I get confused a little bit. Okay.
okay? And it's okay if for a couple of weeks while you're figuring this out, the timing seems off. You know,
Right.
like, why am I eating breakfast at 11 o'clock? It doesn't matter. You just need to be fueling yourself and continuing to give yourself all of the calories that you need for the day.
Right.
The pre and post are not a part of that caloric intake.
Right.
They're in addition to it, because it's fueling your body for the workout, and it's
Okay.
replacing things you just burned off after the workout.
Okay.
Okay? It's gonna be cattywampus. Just text me if you get into a quagmire,
Right.
or call me
Okay.
and say, hey, this is weird. It's 10 a.m. What am I doing? Or
Right.
other scenario. Let's say you go to the noon class, right in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you go to noon ever?
I've went to the noon. Yeah.
Okay. So for the noon, it's kind of the same thing, right? So okay, that's right during lunchtime. I'm gonna have my pre-workout shake at 10:45.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I show up, I work out, I have my post-workout right after. Now I am back to work, or I am home and it's 1.
Mhm.
Should I eat lunch?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And don't even think to yourself, I'm not hungry, because you will be in 30 minutes because you just had your post-workout shake, and what that does is kicks your metabolism up again.
Right.
So just bank on the knowledge that your body will do the thing it's supposed to do, which is burn off all that energy and ask for more.
Okay.
Okay? It'll take a few days for your body to get this new rhythm and for it to be like, oh, I'm hungry again. Or, oh, I just used that. Like, I need something else, you know.
Yeah.
Just trust the system, trust the process. Give yourself a week to acclimate.
Right.
It'll hit, okay?
Right.
Now, if you decide to come to the 5:30 class, let's say in the evening,
Right.
same situation. It's kind of dinner timey,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so let's say you go to 5:30 p.m. class, so at 4:15,
Right.
you're having your pre-workout shake.
Okay.
Okay, so that's 4:15. You give yourself an hour and 15 minutes.
Okay.
You come to class at 5:30 in the afternoon.
Right.
You're done at 6:30. You're gonna drink your post-workout smoothie within 30 minutes. We're gonna get to that in a little bit.
Right.
Okay, so now it's 6:45, maybe it's 7 o'clock.
And then I gotta eat.
And now you
because
gotta eat dinner.
I go to bed at 9 o'clock
Okay.
at the latest.
Okay, so maybe your dinner will be smaller and your lunch needs to be bigger that day. Okay? So there's some of these things that you're gonna need to think about, and it's
Right.
gonna take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some adjustment. Sometimes you're gonna eat and you're like, I'm just not hungry anymore. And you can just stop, that's okay,
Right.
you know? And
Well,
go ahead.
Well, that's what I'm worried about is because I'm trying to lose weight. Like I really
Yeah.
have to lose weight.
I promise you, it will be, until it actually starts happening, it will be unbelievable that when you eat more food, you actually will lose
Right.
weight. And you can talk to Graham about this.
Right.
So he lost 75 pounds, and he's never eaten more in his entire life than when he was losing all that weight,
Right.
right? It's what we're eating and when we're eating it, okay? So, trust the process.
Yeah.
This is why we're here, right?
Yeah.
Don't worry about something that hasn't happened yet, okay?
Well, I figure I'll probably lose some weight just by cooking at home more.
You will, and also the pre and post workout smoothie is going to be the biggest impactor on the success you're having in here.
Okay.
And what that's going to do is fuel all your metabolism, and all the things you want to eat are going to start changing.
Okay.
Because the things I'm giving you to try and what you have for homework this week,
Right.
which is a lot,
Yeah.
just going to tell you now, you're going to have some homework.
Okay.
You're going to be asking me lots of questions, and I expect it. If I'm not
Okay.
getting at least 2 or 3 questions from you per day for the first 2 weeks, I'm going to be a little worried that you're falling off the wagon.
I should have put that as a goal because I'm really shy about like taking people's time.
Okay. I demand that you stay in constant communication with me,
Okay.
because if you're not, I can't help you.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's why you paid me.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, now, also think about it this way. Previously, I had 20 people
Right.
texting me every single day.
Right.
Now I have 1.
Okay.
Okay? I can handle it. This is a
Okay.
part of my job. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so let's go through the rest of that quantity. Those little, these are little tidbits about how we're going to be portioning our food in general. Okay?
Okay.
So, what I want you to do is take your hand out in front of you. Okay?
Right.
Like a plate. Okay, so I'm going to explain it to you visually first, and then we're going to read what I wrote just to confirm it. Okay?
Okay.
So imagine that this is your plate.
Okay.
Okay. Now at home, do you eat off of a big plate or like a, like a smaller salad
Just
plate?
a normal size plate, not a small plate.
Okay, like a big plate. Okay, so usually like this is the interior portion, like if there's a rim
Yeah.
around the plate, right?
Correct.
Okay, so all of our food is going to fit in the interior of, and it might be a mound, that's fine, but it's
Right.
going to fit in the interior. So basically the size of our hand is the interior of the plate.
Okay.
Okay? So this portion right here, my palm,
Protein.
that's right.
Uh-huh.
You know this already, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And then the outside,
Fat,
so the outside,
veggies.
all veggies, 1/4 of it,
Fat.
fat and starches.
Okay. So
Okay.
the sweet potatoes didn't fit in that. Okay.
Yep. And it's an overlay. It's not 3/4 vegetables, 1/4 fat, or like 1/2 vegetables, 1/4 fat, 1/4 starches. It's vegetables all the way around. Okay, so like broccoli, if I'm sauteing broccoli or roasting
Right.
broccoli in the oven, and then on top of that, I'm giving myself an additional 1/4 of fats and or starches.
Okay.
Okay? And that's definitely right out of the Whole30 playbook.
Yeah.
So it's something that I know you already are familiar with.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay, so let's then go back down here and read this. If you train first thing in the morning, something is better than nothing. Everyone's different, so we're going to experiment with different foods, quantities, and timing. And we have our suggested list below, and this is breakfast related mostly.
Okay.
Okay, but then we're going to always make sure that we include a small amount of protein. So this is a pre-workout, like if you're going to attempt to have a meal and your smoothie and your drink, whatever, this is the quantities I want you to go in. So it's about half of our meal size.
Right.
Okay? And that's what it says right here. Small amount of protein, half a meal size or less. Okay? Now
Okay.
you can also decide if you don't want to do smoothies, but it sounds like you do.
Yeah, I'm fine with smoothies.
Okay, great, then we don't have to go down that road. But for people who don't like smoothies or who don't have a blender and just want to eat whole foods, then there is all of these ingredient ideas for things they can have before a workout where they can build themselves a small meal like this instead.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
So that's kind of a backup plan for
That's
you.
what this is here?
Yep, all those ingredients.
Okay.
So, and a lot of these are things we put into our smoothies.
Yeah.
So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
So I should turn off my, so I have my smoothie already made for tomorrow morning, so I should turn that off after tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then just start doing
Pick
the
up with the new
smoothies.
one. Yep.
Now, so let's say I'm going to the 4:30 gym, I still need to have some sort of breakfast before I go to work. So just have a normal breakfast.
Yep. Just haven't. And yeah, and we'll talk about what that is and what that looks like, and
Okay.
what the content in terms of fats, proteins, and carbohydrates, and so we'll talk a little bit about that as well.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So, but I don't want to get too far down that rabbit hole now because I don't want you to get super burned out on it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So then let's just review the pre-workout smoothie. Make sure you don't have any questions on it. Okay. So all of these things in here are done in ratio with each other so that you're getting the correct blend of the various types of nutrients we want before we work out. And I passed this recipe to one of my really good friends who is a nutritionist. He's finishing his master's in nutrition right now at Western. And he went back and checked, yep, this blend works, this is a good,
Makes sense,
this is a
yeah.
good mix, it makes sense, it's got everything you need, nothing you don't. The most important thing that you'll find here in this recipe is that, and also, sorry, quick pause, there's an ingredient that I meant to delete out of here that was an error. Second from the bottom, 25 grams of pre-roasted sweet potato or gluten-free oats, cross that out. That only goes in your post.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm used to putting oats in my smoothies. So
Okay,
I'm
well, we're
good
not
with
gonna
that.
do it pre, and I'll explain why.
Okay.
Okay, and obviously since you already have yours done for tomorrow, great, keep going with it, and then you'll pick up with this new recipe for the next class, okay? So, half cup of almond or coconut milk. If you drink regular milk and you wanna stick with that, that's fine, it's up to you,
Okay.
okay?
I gotta protect my stomach, so I gotta go with the almond milk for this.
Great.
Anyways.
Great, I'm completely dairy free, so that's why I chose almond milk.
Right.
Okay, 2 ounces of coconut chunks. Have you purchased this before?
I haven't, but I know what to do. We have it bulk, so
Okay, great. Are they frozen or fresh?
they're fresh. Well, I mean,
Okay.
as fresh as bulk can be. It's not that fresh.
So they're dried, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so not those.
Okay.
So the ones I'm talking about, you can buy them frozen at Trader Joe's for $2 a bag.
Okay.
Okay? And I also will send you an email tomorrow morning that has links to all of this, and it tells you where all these things are purchasable.
I'm going to Trader Joe's tomorrow. Anyways.
Okay, great. Okay, so these ones are frozen in a bag in the frozen fruit section.
Okay.
Okay? It says young coconut chunks on the bag.
Okay.
And you'll be putting 2 ounces is 3 to 4 chunks. They are completely uniform in size and shape, so 2 to 3 is your max.
2 to 3 chunks.
Yep,
Oh, that makes it easy.
yeah,
Oh, thank God for Trader Joe's.
I know. Okay, now 1 scoop of protein powder. What is your current protein powder that you use?
Garden of Life. I use the protein and greens
Okay,
one, and I use either the vanilla or the chocolate, and I believe that they're stevia sweetened.
okay. So, how much of that do you have left?
I have 1.5
Containers?
containers.
Alright, so what I would like you to do when you're at Trader Joe's tomorrow is I want you to buy there's only one size of this. It's the egg white protein powder only.
Okay.
There's nothing else in it. It's $9.
Yeah, that stuff can sit as powder, so I
Yep.
don't mind just.
And the reason why I want you to try changing it up for a little bit
Okay.
is 2 things. Number 1, what we're trying to do with a lot of this work isn't just put the right things in our system, but it's eliminating a lot of the stuff that either isn't good for us or that is screwing up our taste buds and our palate.
Okay.
A lot of the cravings that we have are because we are accustomed to certain flavors, right?
Right.
And just like with sugar and how we are addicted to that sugar, and when we don't have it, then we want it, and then you have it, and then it goes away, and you spike, and then you drop, and then you want it again, and you're doing this a lot, right? That is the
Yes.
cycle of having sugar. So stevia as a sweetener, even though it's like even allowed on the Whole30 now, we are going to take it out of our diet. We're going to take all added sugar out of our diet as much as we can while
Okay.
we're doing this program.
Okay.
And we're gonna actually take out extra flavors from our smoothies, because as we put in whole foods only into our smoothie, and that goes for every single thing on here except for one ingredient, which we will get to, what we're doing is retraining our brain to actually taste the actual raw ingredient. And what that does is it makes your palate much more sensitive. So in actuality, you'll need less sugar and less salt to taste the food the way that the food should taste.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's a little bit counterintuitive, right? But it's just like, what's a good way to put this? It's just like coffee, okay? So, I don't know if you're a coffee drinker, but I am.
Yeah.
Okay, so, in the morning, let's say someone has never had coffee ever, okay? And you give them a cup of black coffee.
Right.
They're gonna spike right through the roof, right?
Yeah.
But if you give them a cup of coffee every single day, their threshold acclimates. Now they're
Right.
here. Now to get that same spike, they have to have a second cup of coffee. Now they're on level 2.
Okay.
Okay, now they have 2 cups of coffee for a week, and now they're leveled out there.
Right.
Now to get that same spike, they have to add a 3rd cup of coffee,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
on and so forth. And so it's just the same with artificial flavors and sweeteners and additions. We want to strip as many of those out as possible when all we're trying to do is fuel our body.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a common misconception that a smoothie should taste like, like fruit, like pineapple, like the Caribbean, or,
Right.
There are things that you can eat where you can consume it and you don't think about it.
Right.
All you're doing is putting the fuel in your body.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be off-putting, but it also doesn't have to taste like a treat.
Okay.
Okay, so I wanted to detach the concept of, I'm going to drink this smoothie, therefore it should taste like a treat,
Okay.
or it should taste like a froyo, but in a smoothie, right? Okay,
Right.
so this is a fuel-based thing. This isn't a treat-based thing.
Okay.
Okay, so that's kind of what I'm getting down to. By pulling out the protein powder that you have, no vanilla flavoring, no chocolate flavoring,
Okay.
no stevia sweeteners, no monk fruit seasoners or
Okay.
sweeteners, none of that in there,
Okay.
okay? Just the straight ingredient.
Okay.
Also, now we know exactly what we're putting into our body. You can pronounce all these things, and you know where they all come from. Now, the one you might not notice or might not recognize is the very last ingredient. And that is the BCAAs, which are the essential amino acids. Are you familiar with that ingredient at all?
I think so.
So BCAA stands for branch chain amino acids,
Yeah.
okay? And some protein powders have them in there, and that's okay. On a case-by-case basis, I'll look at it and I'll see what the content is and the quantity of it.
Right.
But you can buy the BCAA powder
Okay.
in a container. It'll be in the email you get tomorrow. I
Okay.
buy mine on Amazon. The smallest size you can buy is $20, and it lasts me like 4 months.
Oh, okay.
You're putting 1 teaspoon in your post-workout.
Okay.
And you're putting this,
Or in
and
your
1 teaspoon in the
pre-workout.
pre-workout. Yeah, you're doing 1 and 1 basically.
Okay.
Okay? So you do it beforehand and you do it afterwards also.
Okay.
And the branch chain amino acids are the fuel that helps your body repair muscle tissue faster.
Okay.
Okay? And the cool thing about having it beforehand is that it's in your system. So as you're going through this hard workout and you're tearing your muscle fibers apart,
Right.
you have instant repair ready, liquefied in your system,
Okay.
which is great. And then as soon as you're done with your workout, you have another dose of it for that recovery time that lasts you for the rest of the day.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, so any
So they
questions?
should have this at the co-op, but if not,
If not, the
just go to
BCAAs,
Amazon.
yep, and I'll send you the email that has the link to the ones that I recommend.
Just get it on Amazon because it'll probably be cheaper. For
Yeah,
me.
and I will tell you, like, I've reviewed a ton of them, and I've asked all my guy friends that are nutritionists and trainers and, dietitians, and they all get the same one that I get.
Oh, they do. Well,
Yep.
just stand by for that one. I
Yep,
guess
and then also,
MCT oil.
MCT oil, are you
that's
familiar with that?
Yeah, I know what that is.
Okay,
Okay, that's fine. I'll just buy some of that tomorrow. Okay.
so
Get that at
usually
work.
what ends up happening is the things that I'm buying, some of them I have to buy every week, like the frozen coconut, the almond milk, the frozen spinach, the frozen berries, which I also buy at Trader Joe's, but you guys have at the co-op
Yeah.
as well. I buy those once every couple of weeks because it takes me longer to get through the bag. Okay, so before we move forward, I'm gonna have you actually try this, okay?
Okay.
So I made one right before I left the house,
Okay.
so you can have it. And it's funny that it looks green right now because when I made it, it looked really dark purple.
Oh,
But then as everything settles,
yeah.
it kind of changes a little bit. And then this is the post-workout, so we'll have that one in a second. Okay. will tell you is the first time I made this for everybody else, they were like, oh my god, I thought it was going to taste like peaches. I'm like, no, it's not an oddball juice. It's,
Right.
you know, a full-blown, actual,
Thank you.
yeah, with spinach and everything. So it might not be the best thing you've ever tasted in your life.
Right.
Which is unfortunate since I'm a chef and the first thing they give you to eat tastes like,
It's fine.
yeah.
I really don't have a problem with it at all.
Okay, great, then chug the rest of that. There's your little mid-evening snack.
The way you were talking about it, I was expecting something gross.
Horrible. Everyone's taste buds are on a different level, right? So, and some people are like really addicted to pop, right? So for them, that's
Yeah.
really hard to choke down.
It just doesn't have any like bloom in it.
Nope.
You know?
And that is kind of where I want it to be. Because the good thing about that is you can absolutely throw that down.
Right.
And so one last note for this is that recipe, sometimes you need to thin it out with a little bit of water. I usually add about a half cup of water to mine before I blend it.
Okay.
Okay? But start with nothing and go. You can always add a quarter cup of water if it's looking really thick or if it's not blending well. You can just stop the blender and add a quarter cup of water and then keep
Right.
going. Okay?
What I
Now,
have to do is I have to stick my frozen stuff in the microwave for a second because I can't. But since it's only 6 to 8 blueberries, I don't think it will
Yeah.
have a problem.
yeah. Now the last note that I'll give you is for starters.
Good to me.
Great. For starters, what I really want you to focus on quantity-wise is nothing more than 6 ounces for your pre-workout. Okay?
And that's what this will.
Well, it may make more than that for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's always going to be a little different.
Right.
And number 2, if you need to add water to thin it out or to get it at a consistency that you like,
Right.
it's going to be maybe a little bit more than that volume. Okay?
Right.
You'll figure it out. You'll get to your sweet spot where you know what it is. But the first few times that you make it, what I would like you to do is if you have like an actual measuring, like a Pyrex measuring cup, pour it in there until you get to 6 ounces and drink that. If you have leftover, put it into a mason jar or a Tupperware.
Save it.
Save it for the next day.
Okay.
I do that frequently. It doesn't taste any differently the next day.
16 ounces.
Okay? And you may get to the point where you know exactly what a double batch or what a 12-ounce batch looks like, and you can do that, and then you're only making it every other workout.
Right.
Okay? All right, let's keep going because I want to make sure I'm respecting our time frame for you here. Okay, so let's talk about post-workout then.
Okay.
So we're going to go through the same sections. So guidelines. This mini meal is a bonus meal. If you're counting calories or tracking meals, it does not replace breakfast, lunch, or dinner, just like we discussed.
Yeah.
It's a necessary source of your additional nutrients. The macronutrients, proteins, fats, and carbs, will help your body recover faster and more efficiently from high-intensity exercise. Okay, so here's your guidelines. You're going to immediately eat after you work out. So I always bring my post-workout to the gym unless for some reason I left the house first thing at the crack of dawn and I wasn't able to take it with me all day long. Then I just make sure I go straight home. I live half a mile from here.
Right.
And I have it as soon as I get home.
Right.
30-minute window, that's your window. After 30 minutes, if you don't give your body that extra fuel that it needs, you're starting to have diminishing returns. Still do it,
Right.
but know that your sweet spot where you're really going to get the most out of it is within 30 minutes. And as odd as it sounds, when you're done working out, if you had it with you and you just started drinking it, your body's actually going to want it even though you don't feel hungry. And you'll find that you've drank it in 5 minutes and you're done with it.
Right.
And it's double the volume.
Oh, so it's 16 ounces.
Yeah, I literally drink this entire thing when I'm done with the workout.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, and this is one recipe worth.
Right.
And you can see right here, it's got my milliliters and my ounces. This is actually 20 ounces.
Okay.
And I add water again to it to help it kind of thin out because
Right.
it's a different makeup. But I'll chug this entire thing.
Right.
And it has double the protein as the pre-workout.
Okay.
Okay, so you'll work up to it. But if you just have it with you and just start drinking as you're, catching your breath and talking with people and gathering
Right.
your things, get in the car, drive home. By the time you get home, you're done. And it's like it never even happened. And then you're like, okay, now I need to make dinner or
Okay.
whatever the thing is.
Right.
Okay.
For me, it would be probably making dinner.
Okay, great. Okay, so that's that. Eat within 15 to 30 minutes. Eat or drink whatever your post-workout meal or smoothie is. Okay, and then it gives the same breakout for portion sizes of contents as the previous page. So your 1 meal-sized protein instead of a half of a meal-sized protein, right?
Wait, this is talking about what's going to be in your.
Yes, exactly. And if for people that don't want to do a smoothie, now they know what they need to be looking at if they wanted to use an actual piece of food.
Right.
Okay. And then you've got your half a meal size carb dense vegetable. So you'll see that in our recipe, that is the sweet potato. and then there will be no fruit whatsoever in your post-workout smoothie,
Okay.
and no fat whatsoever either. No oil, no coconut chunks.
Now but then when I go to eat my actually dinner, then I would go back to the hams.
Totally.
Okay.
Yep. So we just don't want to have fat in the post-workout smoothie because you don't want your body to be absorbing fat right after a workout.
I've always wondered about that. actually.
Yeah, so this is the general balance. Fats and some protein beforehand. Protein, carbs afterward. Okay?
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Okay, so let's keep going then. So then you've got a bunch of ingredients here. So just the same as the previous page, if you chose to do regular food, you'd want to be incorporating some of this. Yes?
I have pre-roasted sweet potatoes in my refrigerator right now.
Good. Perfect. Do you have a kitchen scale?
I got rid of it.
Okay, well, you're going to get a new one.
Okay.
And I have
Damn it.
one. I have one to recommend for you. It's $5 on Amazon,
Okay.
and it's ones that we use in the commercial kitchen all the time, even out at the Willows where I used to work. So
Right.
it's a super easy, and it will be helpful. And you'll start to realize some things you then can eyeball the exact number of grams. But the reason I really want this to become a common practice for you, and we talk much more about food weight and all that measurement stuff on class 2.
Right.
But since you're kind of ahead of the curve a little bit on all of this, I feel like we can just talk about it now, and it'll just be something that
Okay.
sits in your brain. There's a huge difference between weight and volume, right?
Right.
And a lot of people in America, they only do things on volume, which
Yeah.
is teaspoons, tablespoons, cups,
Yeah.
right? And that doesn't correlate to the actual weight of something,
Right.
which is how we measure in a commercial kitchen. So
Okay.
when we're thinking about how much of something your body needs to consume, we're thinking about it in terms of grams. So for instance, I'm going to teach a class on micros and macros.
Okay.
And macros are proteins, fats, and carbohydrates.
Right.
And when you're trying to figure out what you should be consuming for those 3 macronutrient groups in any given day, it's all done in terms of grams.
Oh.
Okay, so everything comes back to actual weight, not volume.
Okay.
Okay? Now, obviously, when we were talking before about the quantity of your smoothie, we weren't talking about it in terms of grams, we were talking about it in terms of ounces, fluid
Right.
ounces, and that's fine. But when we're thinking about the actual amount of a given nutrient we want to have, you could take your BCAA powder and you could weigh out how much 2 teaspoons is if you wanted,
Right.
but you have a scoop in there, so you don't need to, you
Yeah.
know, and that's consistent every single day. When you have to take a huge sweet potato, roast it, and then cut it, and you're trying to cut 30 to 60 grams
Right.
consistently, that's much more difficult to do,
Yeah.
right? You can't eyeball that as well
Right.
until you've done it 100 times. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so the recipe here.
You'll have a link in the email. Okay.
And here's what I can tell you. For a sweet potato, I happen to know that the size of slice that you want to have is the thickness of your index finger, and it's about an A-OK amount.
Okay.
Okay, so it's this full circle amount.
Okay.
It ends up being 4 small bites,
Okay.
and that's the grams that you want.
Okay.
So you can eyeball it until you get the scale.
Yeah. Okay. So just this.
Yep, and it's that thickness too.
Because I usually cube them when I roast them, so I can just cube them and then it'd be like 3 cubes.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, that's fine.
Easy. Okay, so a cup of frozen organic spinach. This is quite a bit. This is actually double the amount of the pre-workout. Do you want to jot a note about your sweet potatoes?
Yeah, I just.
Go ahead. And since you have your water bottle, I'm going to guzzle this extra thing of water that I
Oh, you brought
out.
that one. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm never sure, and I always know that as I'm talking, I usually tend to get very dry,
Right.
going on and on.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna do the organic spinach again.
Yep.
You like spinach better than kale?
100%, and here's why. Kale is much more dense in simple carbohydrates,
Oh, okay.
but it has the same amount of fiber and the same amount of iron. So spinach is a better bet.
Okay.
It's also much more bitter than spinach. So it has no greater positives, but it has a negative in there.
Okay.
Okay, what we're trying to do is keep the number of net carbs under control.
Okay.
And because the kale has simple carbohydrates, it's processing it as sugar in your body.
Okay.
And that's the opposite of the thing that we want post-workout, right?
Yes.
Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna switch over to spinach for smoothies now.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got our spinach, you've got double your amount of your BCAA powder,
Okay.
okay? And then you've got your sweet potato, your almond milk. Now I don't know why I spelled that wrong. Hydrolyzed collagen powder. Have you ever had collagen powder before?
Yes.
Okay. Is it something that you use currently? Okay. So you can get the Great Lakes brand is now at Trader Joe's. They've started carrying it, which blew me away. It is a brand I've been using for 2 years.
Okay, so
It's
that's
phenomenal. It is the top brand in my mind
okay.
because of sourcing and purity,
Okay.
and also the way that they are feeding the cattle,
Okay.
and it's traceable. Like, as in, I actually can
Right.
go onto their website and they talk about the farms they partner with,
Right.
and it's like they can do a real source tracking of their collagen.
Right.
It's bovine, so you're not a vegetarian, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you're good to go on that
Yeah.
end of the spectrum. And it is by far the least expensive of the high-end collagen powders.
Okay, great.
It tastes like nothing. It has no flavor whatsoever, and it absorbs right into your shake.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the other cool thing about the collagen powder, and the reason why we're putting 3 tablespoons of it, I actually just put a 1/4 cup, which is 4 tablespoons.
Right.
That's your daily allowance that your body can actually absorb. It actually has a ton of protein in it too.
Oh, you use 3 tablespoons, so you just use a 1/4 cup dry measuring
Yep,
cup. Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Okay. And then you are also still going to have 1 scoop or 30 grams of protein powder, which is also about a 1/4 cup or a little bit more
Okay.
if it's egg white powder. Okay. And then I add in the pumpkin pie spice and the cinnamon because it helps balance the flavor out.
Okay.
Okay. And it doesn't really have any other benefit other than that.
Okay.
With having nothing sweet in there, but having that sweet potato in there,
Mhm.
adding in the pumpkin pie spice and the cinnamon gives it a little bit more of a palatable. In my brain, I always think, oh, it's kind of like a slice of pumpkin pie or an oatmeal cookie, and I don't taste the spinach and all these other things.
Right.
So the BCAA powder can tend to be a little bit on the bitter side.
Okay.
Okay, so I like to have
Oh, got it.
the pumpkin
Okay.
pie spice and the cinnamon in there, and I just get that at Fred Meyer in the bulk section, or at the co-op. So if you don't have both those things, you may think that just the cinnamon is enough. I think the pumpkin pie spice is just kind of a nice additional flavor,
Okay.
and it helps me. And then I also sometimes, and the one that you'll taste tonight, I put a little bit of almond extract in there,
Okay.
and that's just for me because I like it.
Right.
You might not.
Right.
Some people are different, so if you don't like it, then omit it.
Okay.
If you like it, it's the tiniest dash, like a couple drops, because it's so potent.
What was it?
Almond extract. You know how when you bake a recipe, it calls for vanilla extract,
Yeah, we have
and
it.
it calls for like hardly any at all.
Yeah.
Well, it's because it's so strong. So for
Right.
the almond extract, even if you have like an eyedropper, you could put like 2 or 3 drops in, or
Right.
I pour it into the cap and then pour that into the.
Right.
Yeah, it's easier that way. Okay. Questions before we move on?
No.
Okay, so let's try it, shall we? So this one you'll find the consistency is different because there's no fruit in it,
Okay.
okay? And I think I actually was out of sweet potatoes today, so this one doesn't have sweet potatoes in it. It does have everything else though.
Okay.
So you may think it's better or worse, or you'll just have to decide what you think. And it's usually colder, right? Because I drink it as soon as I make
the
it.
almond you definitely
Yeah.
the cherry.
Yes, exactly. The almond kind of reads as cherry sometimes.
Yeah, the collagen powder is pretty bitter.
It's the collagen, but it's also the BCAAs, because there's
Okay.
twice as much in the post as there is in the pre. Now, some people have asked about, and so also the sweet potato helps kind of mask that, and since I didn't have any, it's coming
Right.
through more.
Bitter.
Yeah,
I don't mind it. I'm fine to drink it.
yeah. And I will tell you, since I've been doing it every single day for months and months and months, I can literally chug the whole thing, and my brain doesn't even register it as bitter anymore. And that's another part of our taste buds changing as we go down this path, right? Things will start to normalize in a different way. Things that you used to eat all the time, like if you are used to putting a banana in your smoothie
Right.
and you take that out, or some people, I used to have bananas as a snack all the time. I could put it in my bag, I could take it in the car, it was easy to consume, it was a whole food,
Right.
I recently had breakfast that somebody else made for me, and it had a cut banana all over the top of it, and I ate it and I thought I was going insane. Like, I had such a sugar high and I couldn't concentrate, and it was the weirdest feeling.
Right.
I haven't eaten a banana in 6 months.
Right.
So things will change, they'll acclimate. And you'll find your own little twist, right? Like you may find something that you like to add in there that doesn't really have any nutritional value, but changes the flavor of it.
Right.
So it's up to you, okay? Okay, let's keep boogieing here. Changing the page into shopping trips. So one of the things that I want to, let me just check this front page here. Okay, one of the things that I want to prepare you with is how to be successful when you're in the store, okay? And before we get too deep into the lists here of the things that I've recommended.
Right.
And one quick thing, if you actually scan down here to where the proteins are, I was going to ask you earlier, when you get home tonight, I want you to look at the protein powder that you've been using.
Right.
And if you don't already know what the source of the protein is, okay. And that's just important to note, because then once you change over and start using egg white, if you notice that, the way that you digest it changes,
right.
Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not,
Yeah.
and egg white isn't for everyone.
Okay.
So if you notice that the egg white is giving you a hard time,
Right.
then go ahead and go and finish using what you already have at home, because I don't like to waste anything.
Right.
When you're done with that pea protein,
Right.
go ahead and get more pea protein, but get one that doesn't have any sweeteners in it and no
Right.
flavorings in it.
I'm gonna just try to. It's not gonna get wasted. I'm gonna try right off the bat the egg stuff, just because I want to to see.
I think it'll help set a new barometer for you, for
Right.
sure. Especially for your palate, for everything else you'll be doing in the next
And
6
then, like,
weeks.
if I'm really partying, I could put some of the bars in
There you go. Perfect. Okay, so that was just one thing I wanted you to check and see what the protein source was in there. And I went ahead and listed all the various protein sources that exist in purchasable, consumable protein powders nowadays, because there are so very many.
Right.
You'll actually see this when you go to Trader Joe's. There are quite a few options just with that they're carrying now.
Right.
They have one of every single thing that I put on this list,
Right.
which is great. Okay, and I also don't need to spend a ton of time on this shopping list, because it's pretty straightforward, especially since you work at the co-op. I know that you will tend to know a lot of this content already, so starting at the top, my highlight out of each of these is obviously buy local and organic when you can when it comes to
Right.
fresh items. When it comes to frozen items, that's not as important.
Right.
I still think that anything that doesn't have a peel on the outside of it or a shell, if it's coming in direct contact with the earth, like lettuce,
Right.
I try to buy organic, right?
Okay.
Because it doesn't have anything to protect it from the elements and pesticides and herbicides and all that jazz. Good soil makes good food. That's a basic fact.
Roger.
Okay? For the vegetable side of things, okay, this is going to get a little bit into the concept of glycemic index and carbohydrate dense vegetables. So we don't have to go super deep into it right now, but in general, we want to be looking at our veggies in two different groups. Low carbohydrate vegetables, which we would want to consume before the workout. Okay,
Right.
and that's why fruit-wise, the only thing I'm allowing in your pre-workout from now on are berries.
Right. And only a couple. Yeah.
They're the lowest net carbohydrate fruit there is.
Okay.
The darker,
Isn't that weird that blueberries are? Because they taste like
yeah,
pretty sweet.
I know. The darker the berry, the lower the net carbohydrate.
Okay.
Okay.
I just knew that with blueberries.
Yeah.
I just learned that the other day. I was
Yeah,
like, that's
it's
so
so
bizarre.
cool. I know,
Yeah.
it's super bizarre, and we live in a wonderful area for blueberries too.
Yeah.
So come spring, it's gonna be, we're gonna get the great benefit of that.
Sweet.
Okay, and then all of our high carbohydrate veggies would be ones that we would be okay consuming after the workout. So kale
Kale or broccoli or.
and broccoli, and also our sweet potatoes and our yams and
Okay.
all those things, okay?
Okay.
Root vegetables are higher on the glycemic index. They have more sugars in them. That goes for parsnips and carrots,
Right.
okay? Leeks as well. All the alliums have higher sugar in them.
So, okay, so let's say I have to do supper before I go to the gym, then don't do the sweet potatoes.
Correct. Save
Okay.
those.
I just really gotta try to eat after the gym. Anyways, that's
I mean, and that's not to say that you can't have some of it, but again, think about your timeline, right?
right.
So if you're going to have, like if you chose to go to a different gym and you weren't coming here and you were going to go after you had dinner,
Right.
then yeah, try not to have a half cup or a cup's worth of yam fries
Right.
before you do that.
Right.
It's not going to help. It's
Yeah.
not the worst thing in the world. There's so many other things that are bad that you could be eating. So
Right.
in a certain sense, you're eating the right things, but now is the time to think about when are we eating them.
Right.
Okay?
That's why it's so weird because I have lunch at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
That's lunch. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like
I totally get it. Sometimes I work at 6 a.m.
same difference.
And
I
I-
eat at
yep,
about 10. Yep.
Yeah, it's weird, but don't let that get the mix of things, you know, just
Okay.
think about the time frames, knowing you can peg your day against when you have to do certain actions, right? Like,
Right.
I have to start work at this time, so if I start work at 5 a.m., that means I'm getting up at 3 a.m., and I really want to have something in my system before I get to work. That's a general
Right.
good guideline,
Right.
okay? And we'll get more into that hunger timeline stuff later.
Okay. I won't ask you about the breakfast that I'm thinking of switching because I can't do the smoothie anymore until next class or something.
Okay. You can always ask me the question later, too.
Okay. Okay.
You can call me, text me, zip it over in an email, whatever you want to do.
Overnight oats, are you alright with those?
For breakfast, yeah.
Okay.
Not pre-workout.
Not pre-workout. No, but I would just do that with 2 eggs.
Yeah.
Right.
Great. Perfect. Okay, super. Okay, and then you know how to, I shouldn't make this assumption, but I'm going to, that you know how to shop for produce. First, look at the things that are fresh and
Right.
available. That's going to be seasonal. That's going to be
Right.
your best bet for flavor and value
Right.
and proximity, especially working in the co-op.
Right.
Then if you don't see something that's on sort of what you were thinking you were going to cook, then you're going to move into the frozen section because that's going to be your next best bet.
Right.
Because they were harvested when they were freshest,
Yeah.
they were cared for and packaged at that time, so you're still going to get a ton of nutritional value out of a frozen vegetable.
And just so you know this, since you're my teacher right now, even though I know all this stuff, I eat like shit. Like,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? I'm talking like milkshakes.
Yeah, chefs are like that.
burgers,
Chefs are horrible.
Pizza,
Mhm.
like a lot of it.
Okay.
So, I'm
Well-
not going to do that now, but I'm just saying so you know.
I'm glad
that
you're exposing
I'm not,
that to me.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
People that are
important
in,
to
it's like doctors that smoke.
know. Yeah. It's like yeah.
They know they shouldn't, but they still do it.
Yeah.
Okay, alright. Okay, so then let's keep going. Oh, see, and then at the bottom of vegetable, as I said, does it have a skin or a shell? No need to buy organic.
Okay.
Okay? Okay. We went through proteins a little bit already, but never hurts to just do a quick recap of this. So I always look at my proteins. So butchery and charcuterie are my specialty area.
Okay.
Bye.
It's really warm out here now.
Is it? Oh, you
yes.
guys got it all hooked up?
Oh, you
Yeah,
got it
it's
going.
70 degrees out here.
Oh, you can leave it open then.
Alright.
Good night. See you tomorrow. Okay, so for the proteins, so the reason why I'm telling you this is because I would never give you advice that I didn't know and have used myself all the time.
Right.
Okay, so for meat, butchery is the area that I specialize in with my work.
Oh, it is.
Yep.
Okay.
And so the first thing that I do as a cook when I go to a store is I go to the clearance section because those are things that are like just past their prime that they still can sell, but they're the marred ones or they're a
Right.
little bit, not looking so hot anymore.
Yeah.
And for cuts of meat, that's actually great because it means that, like, for instance, I could take home this steak that's marked down because, the pull date was today, and so
Right.
they're trying to get rid of it. I can take that home, rinse it off, cat it dry, put it on a sheet rack in my fridge, and let it air dry overnight, and it's going to be air chilled, and it's going to be well tempered and well rested, and it'll be perfect for tomorrow. So I always go to the bargain section first
Okay.
in any given department that goes for produce. Like, I'm fine if my peppers have a little bit of a spot I need to cut out of it.
Right.
If the rest of the peppers are looking great,
Right.
and I got them for a fraction of the price.
Right.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's something that I don't know if when you're shopping at the co-op, if that rule also applies or if they just pull all that.
Well, we get to take the food bank before the food bank gets
There
there.
you go then. So you're accustomed to that. Okay, we went over the proteins already. And then supplemental ingredients. So if you're unsure of whether or not you should add it to your diet, let's talk about it, okay?
Okay.
When you're adding vitamins, supplements, or even super powders like the greens, like you
Yeah.
had said you had, do
Yeah.
your research first. So that means you want to go online, you want to look up the reviews, go to Amazon, see what the reviews are saying.
Right.
Also look up into the consumer bureaus and see if, if you're thinking about adding something that is supposed to have a nutritional or vitamin or mineral value to it,
Right.
don't just blindly start adding things in. Let's have a conversation, let's see if I know anything about it.
Okay.
And if I don't know anything about it and you think there's a real reason that you should be adding it in,
Right.
then we'll consult someone that knows.
I don't think I have anything like that
Okay.
right now. I have fish oil, but I know that's suspect whether that's good for you or not.
It is, but it has to be like super high quality.
Right.
And luckily, I don't know if you're familiar with Barleans that's out
Yeah.
towards the water.
Good stuff.
Yeah, so Barleans is one of the really well trusted,
Yeah.
makers of that. And there are a few that are really good,
Right.
and that's great. I go back and forth between taking it and not taking it.
Yeah. I'm not.
And
taking
frankly,
it right now.
I don't really notice a difference.
Yeah.
I'd rather just eat the fish.
I'm gonna try not to do supplements, but yeah, I'll let you know if anything comes time's up.
Okay, great. I think we can, okay. This is a great little portion to talk about treats, snacks, and dry goods. At the very bottom of that page.
Okay.
So I want to talk about a few things that I'm going to give you tonight to take home.
Okay.
Okay, and it's called a crash kit. Okay, so this is something you're going to keep either if you have a place at work where you have like a cubby or a locker or a desk or something of that
Right.
nature. You can keep it there, or you can keep it in the car. I have one both at work and in my car.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to give it to you now. We're going to talk through what it is. So this Tupperware is your crash kit.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm going to talk through what's in here. There's one thing missing. I have it in my coat pocket because I grabbed it from the car, but I didn't have time to add it in here, okay? So this crash kit, this Tupperware, should remain wherever you have it all of the time. And when it is
Right.
empty, it is your job to refill it,
Okay.
okay? So maybe you just add all these things to your weekly shopping list.
Okay.
Okay, you might not go through them that fast, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
Okay, so all these things are okay for you to have as snacks if you're crashing. If you're like, oh crap, I'm in the car, or oh crap, I'm at work and I forgot and I don't have anything with me.
Right.
Or if you're about to come to workout, or if you just left workout, you forgot your pre or you forgot your post.
Right.
All these things are okay to consume
Right.
in small quantities,
Okay.
and they're not gonna put you down. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. So here we go. So the first thing, raw almonds.
Okay.
Okay, they gotta be raw.
Okay.
You can buy them, no problem. Usually they're called whole almonds or
Yeah, I know
nonpareils,
those.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, great. So whole raw almonds.
Got some of those.
That also is a half cup, by the way.
Okay.
See, now these snack baggies, I got
That's
them.
kind of neat.
I got them at the dollar store, and I usually just keep refilling the same baggie over and over again until it
Right.
tears. So there you go. This is the maximum amount you want to consume if you're really in a pinch.
Two half a cup.
Just a half a cup.
Okay.
Okay, but that's really even too much of the almonds. Like,
Okay.
don't have this entire half cup of almonds and then come in here and work out.
Okay.
You'll probably throw up.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Really, when you're
Wow.
doing, so really, if you can, if you're in a pinch and you're coming in to work out, I would say have a handful, which is probably half this amount,
Okay.
okay, of this, and then have some of something else in here, okay?
Okay.
So here's other things that are in here. Goji berries,
Okay.
okay? Here's a quarter cup of goji berries. You only need about half of that as a
By
snack.
itself.
By itself.
Okay.
They're great before or after a workout, especially good after the workout,
Okay.
okay? I can give you all the backup information you want on
Okay,
goji
very
berries,
carbs. Oh, okay.
okay?
Yeah.
Larabar.
Lower bars are okay. Yeah.
They're
on
okay.
sale right now.
Great. Also, I buy them by the box at Grocery Outlet for a
Okay.
fraction of the cost.
Really?
A box of, I think, 12 or 15 is $4.99 or $5.99.
Wow.
So when I go, I usually buy 2 boxes, and then I just have 1 box at home and 1 box on the go. Okay?
Right.
And I gave you 2 different kinds of Lara bars. This one's apple pie. This one is cinnamon roll.
Sweet.
Okay? Now, what we don't want to do is get into the habit of scarfing Lara bars all the time, right? Like, this is an
Yeah.
emergency scenario situation.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
I gave you a bunch of the empty baggies too.
Oh, perfect.
Okay? I also have dried tart cherries for you in my coat.
So this is not like it's 7 a.m. and I'm 2 hours before my meal and I want a snack. This
No,
is like
this
I'm
is-
walking.
This is emergency case,
Right.
worst case scenario. Like, oh my God, I'm on the road. I don't want to stop. This is instead of going through the drive-through,
Right.
you do this instead. You do
Okay.
this to patch you to get you to a place where you can consume a healthy meal.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Even if it's at home and you're like, oh, I want to die. I'm so hungry.
Here's a question because
Yeah.
I think about this a lot. So let's say it's half an hour before I'm gonna eat, but I like. it
You're
hits me.
munchy. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
okay
that's
to-
that's a
okay.
great scenario. And always start out with less, right? Like, have half a Lara bar, drink an entire glass of water,
Right.
give yourself 5 minutes to figure out what you're gonna make, and maybe that's enough.
Okay.
Listen to your body, right? We need time for our stomach to send a signal back to our brain.
Right.
So start with half the amount you think you need.
Right.
So also, it's just as much about what we're eating as it is about being mindful while we're eating.
Okay.
Okay? You gotta give your body time to absorb what you're doing and give the correct signals back and forth.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, now the other thing, so I got the tart cherries in my coat for you, and then this is actually bone broth. It's powdered.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is a great company. This brand, I like because it's the pouch, so I can go anywhere and get hot water,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And it dissolves into 8 ounces of hot water. It
Right.
actually tastes great. I hate broth and I hate soup, and
Right.
I like this.
Okay.
And it has 10 grams of protein in it, which is great.
Yeah.
And you're gonna drink, 8 to 12 ounces. I fill up my Go mug
Right.
and pour this in, and that keeps me full for an hour while I'm figuring out what the hell I'm doing.
Okay.
Or if I don't have my lunch break yet, I can go back into the break room, pour hot water in my Go mug, pour this into it, and now I've got something that's actually filling me with really great nutrients and collagen and protein
Okay.
while I'm waiting. Okay?
Right.
So this brand you can find at Fred Meyer. You can get it online too, but it's cheaper at Fred Meyer, believe it or not.
Okay.
Okay? And this is called the Lono Life. This is the beef bone broth. It's my favorite, so you're getting one of those too.
LONO.
LONO, Lono Life.
And where was that again?
Fred Meyer, in their natural section, right where all their stocks and soups and all that jazz are.
Got it.
So yeah, I think a 4-count box of these is $5.30.
Okay.
Way cheaper than you can get on Amazon. I did the math, so you
Right.
don't have to. Okay. So this is your crash kit. It is your responsibility from now on to be adding your ingredients as you run out of them
Okay,
to
thank
your
you.
shopping list. Okay. And then before we go, I'll get you those cherries too. And there's a difference between the dried tart cherries
Right.
and dried cherries. Okay.
Okay.
And Trader Joe's, I'm sure the co-op has the tart cherries also,
Right.
but tart cherries are a specific, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a specific variety,
Right.
okay? And there are a few varieties that are included in the tart cherry category. Most often you'll see Montmorency,
Yeah.
that's a type of cherry, and that's a tart cherry, okay?
So tart cherries is what we want.
That's what you want. They have anthocyanins in them, which are fantastic for recovery after a workout,
Right.
and they are low on the glycemic index.
Okay.
And there's been a ton of research, both within the nutritional industry and the pharmaceutical industry, that shows all of the really wonderful health benefits, but you only need about 6 to 8 of them. Okay, so if you don't have your post-workout with you,
Right.
have 6 to 8 of those tart cherries, a little bit of those almonds,
Okay.
and a full thing of water, and then get home and get your post-workout smoothie in.
Right.
Okay? Okay, let's keep moving here.
Call in the works and I was like, what the hell's happening?
Okay, here's the good news. We're almost done.
Okay.
We're at homework now. Now, ignore these dates. That was for last class, and I just didn't notice that I needed to update dates on them, okay?
Okay.
But it is Wednesday, so here's the good news. I wrote this homework out so that by the end of the week and beginning of next week, you're gonna be ready to go,
Okay.
okay? So you've got your, even if you don't come to class on Friday and you just come tomorrow, and you've
Right.
already got your smoothie, so you're just gonna still do that.
Right.
We're not gonna, get in our head about it.
Right.
That's not helpful. So you have time now between now and Friday. By the end of Friday, I want you to have shopped for a week's worth of your crash kit and your smoothie ingredients.
Okay.
Totally doable, right? Because you said
Right.
you already were planning to go to Trader Joe's tomorrow anyway.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay. By Saturday, I want you to have made your pre and post workout smoothie once,
Okay.
or sorry, your pre-workout smoothie, and just try it and make sure it's going okay. Does it taste moderately similar to what I gave you tonight?
Right.
And is the consistency okay? Do I need to screw with it a little bit? Okay? And you're going to actually get all of your habits onto your 21-day habit tracker.
Okay, so that needs to be done, okay, so that needs to be done by Saturday.
Yeah, you don't have to start it today or tomorrow if
So
you
I
don't
don't
want
have
to.
to worry about, I'm getting my ingredients for my smoothies, but I don't have to make pre-workout smoothie and try until Saturday.
Correct.
I'll probably try to do it for, anyways, yes, okay.
It's up to you when you want to start it. And also, that said, if we want to move our February 6th date a couple down the line because you start on whatever date, that's fine.
Right.
We'll just move it. It's
Okay.
just you and me, so who cares? We can move it, okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right, and then on Sunday, you're going to try the post-workout smoothie, so you're going to do the same thing, and you're going to log that into your, if you start your 21-day habit tracker, you're going to log it on there.
Okay.
You're going to ensure that you have enough of your pre and post-workout and crash kit ingredients to get through the week,
Okay.
okay, until next weekend, until next Saturday or next Sunday. And then you're also going to pick one day this coming week to try at least one of the recipes that's included.
Terrific.
Before you flip forward, look at Monday.
Okay.
So you're going to come to class on Monday, whatever that class is, and you're going to consume your pre and your post.
Okay.
Okay, so on Sunday, what I want you to think about is, what does my day look like tomorrow?
Right.
Do I need to be making my pre and post Sunday night so they're ready to go?
Right.
Okay, and then think about your day. When am I going to be working? So when do I need to have breakfast? When am I going to have lunch? When am I going to have my pre-workout smoothie?
Right.
When is my post? What am I going to have for dinner?
Yeah.
Okay, set yourself up so that you're not going to break your commitment to your habits, your
Right.
good habits, breaking your bad habit, right?
Right.
So Sunday's a great opportunity just to even take 15 minutes to sit down and say, what does my day look like tomorrow? Do I have my meals that I'm going to take with me for breakfast or lunch or whatever for work?
Right.
Or, okay, I'm going to use one of my 3 meals out for dinner tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
Fine.
Right.
That's fine. Okay?
Saturday should be my first lunch that I bring to work.
Okay, great. So before we flip forward, I want you to flip all the way back to the cover page. And I want you to read the mantra out loud.
Eat what you like, try everything twice, no guilt, never give up.
Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic. There's no time constraint on that one because that's ongoing.
Yeah.
But what I want to focus on is, I don't want us to be thinking about the things we shouldn't be having,
Okay.
okay? I want us to be focusing on the things we should be having.
Okay.
The instant that we stop putting things off limits,
Right.
they no longer become taboo, which means we stop thinking about them as a craving.
Right.
So I wouldn't want you to try to do no eating out. That's not
Right.
realistic and it's not fun,
Yeah.
right? And we want to have fun.
Right.
That's what keeps us going and having some sort of a balance to
Right.
life, right? So eat what you like, but let's always be mindful of our portion. So have the damn French fries. I don't care.
Right.
You're coming in here, you're going to be crushing your workouts and fueling your body correctly.
Right.
So have the French fries.
Okay.
You get hit by a truck tomorrow. Wouldn't you be glad you had those French fries? You know?
Yeah.
That's how I think about French fries. And then try everything twice, right? So we want to be consistently thinking, if I try something once, whether it's food or an activity or a goal or a
Right.
skill,
Right.
if we try it once and it doesn't go well or we don't like it, it could be a fluke. It could be conditional.
Right.
It could be the scenario or the day of the week or we had a bad day or whatever.
Right.
Or I did it wrong and I didn't notice I did it wrong,
Right.
right? So we got to try it again a second time.
Okay.
If something still doesn't go well after trying it 2 times, then talk to the person that you know that is familiar with that thing, you know? And that's how we're able to set boundaries around what we like and what we don't like, what works and what doesn't work. And that's also how we figure out, oh, what's my comfort zone and what's that thing out there, right?
Right.
And how am I going to go after that?
Right.
It makes it easier,
Okay.
okay? No guilt ever, okay?
Okay.
So even if on your habit tracker you miss a couple of days, don't be guilty about it.
Okay.
Don't hold on to that because all that's going to do is burn negative energy
Right.
and it's going to make you feel like you're being less successful. So instead of having guilt, what we just do is we just start over,
Right.
right? There's always tomorrow. So if you miss days in your habit tracker, or if you look at your week worth and you knew you were supposed to be doing your stretching 3 times a week and you didn't get it in, okay, that's fine.
Right.
Start over on day 1. Cross that whole line out and put a new one at the bottom and you're going to start over from day 1 again.
Right.
You have a new opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. It was interesting. Just on that vein, I've been journaling and like I was like super guilty about this meal and it like hit me when I was out for it and I got all emotional and like I wasn't crying but I was just like
Like, oh, what am I doing?
feeling depressed about
Yeah.
it. And then when I went home and I journaled, I wrote down the bad things I'd done and then I wrote down like like I remembered to do this and I
Yeah.
made this meal at home and I did
Yeah.
and then by the time I got done writing it down it's like wow you've actually done a bunch more good stuff so you're still moving the needle in the right direction just
Yeah.
maybe not like
On all the things,
not all
right?
the things.
So here's the other thing I will tell you. I have learned so much more about what I'm capable of when I feel anxious or when I feel guilt happening in real time.
Right.
I train myself to have the other voice.
Right.
So that's like the negative dog, right?
Yeah.
But then I've got this positive dog.
Right.
So that steps in now and it says, okay, wait, why do I feel guilty about this?
Yeah.
Okay, well I feel guilty about it because it's, it's got a lot of sugar, it's not good for me, it's too late to eat,
Right.
whatever the thing is, right? Okay, that might be true.
Right.
That might be empirically or objectively true.
Right.
However, I'm doing it. So what I'm going to do is stop being guilty about it and I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it.
Right.
I'm going to take it on as an indulgence.
Right.
And I know I'm going to do all these other things.
Okay.
So I'm not going to feel bad about it anymore.
Yeah.
And the more that you enjoy that thing in real time,
Right.
number 1, the less anxiety you have.
Yeah.
The less guilt you have, the less negative you are.
Right.
And then you know you're going to come in here and work really hard to counter whatever it is that you did that maybe wasn't the best choice of like burgers and fries or whatever.
Right.
But you still ate the burgers and fries, so wouldn't it be better if you just enjoyed the hell out of it?
Right.
You know? We don't need to be living in a guilt complex all the time.
Right.
It's not making us more successful.
Sure.
So that's why I put no guilt. It's really important.
Okay.
don't feel bad about
That's
anything.
a work in progress.
Yeah, me too. And I will tell you, this is one of the biggest pieces of feedback I got from everyone, because every time we talk, I'm gonna remind you of this.
Right.
And the biggest thing that I saw happen, and people were telling me this of their own accord, is that they stopped feeling bad about all the things they wanted to have, and then they stopped wanting to have them.
Right.
So everyone's got a different path,
Yeah.
but we'll check in on it frequently, okay?
Okay.
Okay, and that brings us to the last one, which is never give up, right?
Okay.
We're not gonna feel bad about it, but if we do feel bad about it, it's okay, we can start again tomorrow. We're not gonna give up on the whole thing,
That's my issue.
right? And so that's why I
Yeah.
wanted to get to that. So
Yeah.
just because we have one bad day or one bad week,
Right.
doesn't mean we cash all in our chips,
Right.
right? It doesn't mean we cash all of our chips in. It means that we just had a bad day or a bad week.
Right.
We're better than each of those independent experiences.
Right.
We have more to offer ourselves than that. And we know how to do the good things too, right?
Right.
So we're not gonna feel guilty about it. We're gonna let that sit where it is, and we're gonna move forward from it.
Okay.
Okay, and we're not gonna give up on the whole thing
Yeah.
because of that one bad experience.
Okay.
We can always wake up tomorrow, have a couple cleansing breaths, and be like, okay, I'm gonna do it today.
Right.
Today's gonna go well.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, let's flip to the recipes, the good stuff, okay? So these are things that are pretty easily incorporatable into all of your weekly and daily meals. Now you're gonna see them listed out in an interesting way, okay? So the way that your recipe packet is listed out, you've got your sauce first.
Okay.
That's a really good, hearty, healthy, and very flavorful sauce. It's pretty thick when it sets up. You can make it in the blender, or you can make it in a food processor or whatever.
Right.
And it goes really well with a ton of different things. It goes well with Mexican food. It goes well with Asian food. It goes
Right.
well on Italian stuff. It kind of runs the whole gamut. And
Right.
it goes really well with every single other recipe that's in there that is lunch or dinner related.
Okay.
Okay, so chimichurri is just some vegetables and some vinegar and some spices and a little bit of oil all whipped up into the blender.
Okay.
Okay? Just make sure that
So-
before you start anything, you read the directions once before you get going, okay?
When's the meal due?
Oh, the one recipe is due, oh, you're gonna pick the day in the week that you're gonna try something new. So there is no set day for it, but by Monday, you need to have that day of the week picked.
Okay.
Okay?
Alright, yeah,
So you
yeah.
got some time.
Okay.
I wanted you to have time to read through these and see which
Okay.
ones sound good, okay?
Yeah.
So there's some breakfast things right there you went past just now. That
Yeah.
So the first page has the sauce and some chicken. The second page has breakfasts, which is white sweet potato bowl, and then a toast, which has got eggs and avocado and bacon and all
Yeah.
that jazz. It's a really hearty, and you can have that for lunch too. I do
Okay.
sometimes. It's really delicious. And if
And
you
now you say like this is a meal.
yeah, if you think about the actual size of it, but some people do one slice of toast and one egg. That's not quite a full meal. That's half a meal, right?
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it, and that also doesn't have a green, you can do some arugula on top of that, or you
Right.
can steam some spinach, saute some spinach, and put
Right.
that on there. Then it'd be a whole meal because then you're getting your greens in there too.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. But primarily, I gave that to people as a breakfast, and people really liked it. Okay. Then you've got your smoothie recipes.
And those are the same.
They should be the same. And actually, that one might have the ingredient taken out of it that was an accident
Okay.
from the first one, because this is a modified packet that you have.
Okay.
Okay.
No.
Still in there? Okay. And then you've got your oven baked yam fries and your cauliflower hummus.
Okay.
So those things go great together. Also,
Okay.
cauliflower hummus is very fast to make,
It is.
and it makes a big batch of it, and it turns out to be great for a dip.
Right.
So if you're feeling snacky, like having some carrot sticks or even some of the beet chips, they're like,
Right.
you can get them at the co-op, you can get them at Trader Joe's. It's still vegetables.
Right.
It's way better for you than a lot of alternatives. And you
Yeah.
can be having that while you're making dinner, or you can have the hummus as a part of your dinner and do the yam fries and dip the yam fries in it, or you can make chicken and have the chicken go with the hummus. So there's all
Right.
different things you can do, right? It's just,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to experiment and see what you like,
Okay.
okay? And then what else is in there for you? There's my squash soup. That's a Saturday project.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it was seasonally appropriate, and it makes a big batch, and it's really hearty and really good for you.
Okay.
So if you did decide it was a really rainy Saturday or Sunday and you wanted to go for it,
Yeah.
you could have all the items at the store and make it over the course. You can just let it go on the stove,
Right.
and then you've got enough that would last you probably 4 or 5 meals. So
Okay. Cool.
yeah, and that's a thing where you can make it, and then if you wanted to freeze part of it, you can freeze part of it.
Okay.
Okay, next page is the last recipe page, and that is a really good roasted broccoli recipe. So for
Okay.
people that have trouble finding new delicious ways to consume plain tired old vegetables.
Right.
This was a game changer for a lot of people last session.
Okay.
I urge you to just give it a shot. This was
Yeah.
actually most people's first go-to recipe.
It was.
Very easy to do.
I don't
And
really like broccoli either.
yeah,
Yeah.
the girl that told me she would never eat broccoli on day one had made it once a week, every single week, and
Right.
actually liked it and ordered broccoli at a restaurant by the time the program was over.
Right.
So, but some people still just don't like broccoli, and that's totally okay.
Right.
And then the last one is the fried chicken recipe. So it's actually baked, but it tastes like fried chicken, or as close as you can get to it. And then in the back, what I gave you is just a couple of my favorite resources. So
Right.
this is your go-to seasonal shopping list for fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
And you might not need it, but it's a nice thing to have when you're in the grocery store if you're drawing
Yeah.
a blank.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge list maker.
Right.
Sometimes I know there's things I'm out of that I buy all the time, like almond milk and soap or whatever,
Right.
right? Toilet paper. But I don't go into the store with a huge meal plan of I'm making this recipe for this day and this recipe for that day. I don't eat like that.
Right.
So this is helpful when you just want to go in and be like, what is okay for me to have? Like, what are
Right.
the things that are going to be lower in carbohydrates? A lot of those are going to be things that are Whole30 approved, and so I
Right.
just love having this list.
Okay.
Okay, and then that one is another shopping list that is broken out in terms of departments, which should make perfect sense for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Okay, and then your habit tracker.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Okay, any questions from your end right now?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. There is no rule. I'm just checking our time. 7:15. Not bad.
Okay.
That's actually what I was hoping we would get done at 7:30. So
Right.
the first time I taught this class, I tried to have it done in an hour and a half, and it
Right.
was clear that just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much to get through.
I just don't know how you could do it with that many people sitting there because you assume
Yeah.
that people have questions.
Oh yeah, and they
stuff.
were talking the whole time too, and they had partners, and they were talking with their partner, and I had,
Right.
So, but it was a lot of what you and I were doing at the beginning too, right?
Right.
So, at any rate, there's no rule here after this. So
Okay.
you're gonna go do your homework.
Okay.
I expect you to be looking at it every single day because you also have to be tracking your habit tracker every day,
Right.
And you have homework assignments for every single day between tomorrow and Monday.
Right.
So you should have that notebook out and have it partially memorized what's on what page by the time I, talk to you on Monday or Tuesday. So ignore the dates, but obviously Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, that applies still.
Good. Then I won't. I think I'm just gonna do it this way and try
Yeah.
instead of trying to just be like
Yeah, don't do it all at
a
once.
student or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
because I don't want you to burn out, Ryan. I want you to pace this for yourself so that as you're doing it, you're thinking, oh, I did it. That was my task. I did it.
right.
And now I don't have to think about this for the rest of the day,
Right.
okay?
Okay.
Because you also have your goals that you're going to be working on,
Right.
right? And that's a lot to take on too.
Right.
Just taking on those goals
Right.
is where most people max out,
Yeah.
okay?
I'm wondering if I made a mistake by not making a weight loss one of my goals, but I don't think weight loss is good when it follows SMART that much because it's like if you tell yourself you're gonna lose 20 pounds by March 30th.
I wouldn't let you. That's not
Yeah.
realistic,
Yeah.
right?
The R. Yeah. you
Yeah. So don't worry about that. And what I
Okay.
will tell you is that some people who did not have weight loss goals happened to have a doctor's appointment around the time that we started.
could- Right.
And then they were like, I wonder if I've lost any weight. And they weighed themselves at the end of the 6 weeks.
Right.
And that wasn't even on their radar as something they cared about.
Right.
But they had lost weight. And it was
Right.
primarily because of the pre and the post. The pre and post workout smoothies. Getting themselves fueled correctly in order to maximize what they're doing in there. That
Right.
really is a game changer. And
Right.
you'll notice that as we continue to talk, we're going to be talking about how is my recovery time.
Right.
And not just recovery time after the workout, but recovery time between stations and between
Yeah.
sets. Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to be talking about energy. How's your energy level
Yeah.
during the workout, between sets, and also after that workout for the rest of the day,
Right.
right? And we're going to talk about strength. Do you feel like you're stronger on the whole? Do you notice it work? If there's anything where you have to be lifting a lot of
Yeah.
weight periodically or frequently,
Yeah.
how does that feel? Does it feel easier? Do you
Right.
notice less fatigue? And also in here, are you going up in weight? How is that looking? Are you noticing things feel easier?
Right.
Are you noticing naturally, oh, this 20 pounds doesn't feel heavy anymore, I should grab a 30-pound medicine ball or the 40-pound medicine
Right.
ball, right? So, and those types of incremental gains are things that we'll touch base on frequently.
Right.
We won't assign any gains goals until maybe the second 3 weeks, but maybe not.
Right.
Maybe we're just working on this stuff and that stuff comes up when it comes up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I know, it's a lot. So, go home, put that away for now.
Yeah.
Don't even worry about it. Pick it back up tomorrow when you're at Trader Joe's. Keep it in the car. maybe.
Yeah.
So you've got what you need when you get to Trader Joe's tomorrow.
Right.
So you're ready to shop for it.
Right.
And if you forget it, just text me. I'm
Okay.
working only on food and consulting stuff tomorrow. I don't have to be
Okay.
at any like specific job site.
Right.
So I'm available.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for doing this. I know you make a lot more money. You get a lot more bang for your buck if you had 10 people.
It doesn't matter to me because this experience is so valuable to be able to do it one-on-one with someone. I'll get a
Right.
deep dive into what your experience is in the session.
Right.
That I'm not going to get if I'm doing 20 people, right?
Yeah.
20 people means that I have to have this conversation 20 times.
Right.
And so I have to have a higher level conversation.
Right.
But when you and I are doing this together and I get the opportunity to do a one-on-one like this, I will get a lot out of going through this process with you.
Okay.
And I'll have an opportunity to ask you deeper dive questions
Right.
and keep better track of where you're at with things.
Okay.
And obviously you're going to get a better experience out of it because you're working directly
Yeah, of course
with
I will. Yeah.
me and no additional accountability partner, right?
Right.
Just hope you don't have to work out with me.
Why?
Because people who are in my session that end up working out with me end up getting pushed a heck of a lot harder
They
during
do?
that workout. Yeah, well, Graham and Danielle, will partner us up together and then they'll
Right.
really come over and they'll keep pushing hard.
Right.
Now they know that you're in this, like they're definitely going to hold you to a higher
Right.
expectation. They expect you to be doing your homework. They expect you to be fueling yourself correctly. They expect you to be on your game,
Right.
and you're paying good money for this, so they
Yeah.
want to make sure that you're getting the most you possibly can out of it.
I hope it helps with my joints because joints are a major problem.
So collagen actually is a huge, huge component in helping with joint functionality.
Right.
So what is in between your joints is your disc, and a lot of that is made up of collagen.
Right.
And so as we age, we start losing the amount of collagen our body naturally produces.
Right.
And that's why it's so important that we add in collagen every single day into our diet.
Right.
So I will tell you that rheumatoid arthritis runs in my family. My mom has had it almost her entire life. My sister got tested and she doesn't have it. Kate Fadden, who works out here.
Right. I don't think I met her yet.
I know you worked out with her once because I was in that class. And then
Okay.
the guy that was helping Graham tonight, that's my brother-in-law,
Yeah,
Nathan.
he's real nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we know it runs in our family.
Right.
She's been tested. I have not been tested.
Right.
But I've always had really sore joints, and I was
Yeah, I
taking
do.
glucosamine with chondroitin and
Right.
the Q10 complex, and I was really trying to figure out how to make it work. And I was taking a magnesium supplement, and I just wasn't seeing any changes.
Right.
So I added collagen in because I was reading about the lack of collagen after the age of 35, and I'm
Right.
past that point now.
Right.
And I thought, I don't think I'm getting very much collagen. So I
Yeah.
started adding it in, and all of a sudden, all my joint pain went away.
Right.
And that's why we do it every day,
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference. So
Right.
I
I
will.
have to get down on the floor every day at work hundreds of times. So
Yeah,
it's like.
you'll feel a change in your knees and your shoulders and your elbows. And you'll also notice it in here when you're going to do squats and you start lifting heavier weight,
Right.
your joints are more supported.
Right.
You just gotta keep having it because, you're not producing it, right? So if you put the collagen in your smoothie every day, you have it. If
See
you
how that
don't,
goes.
you're not, right? And that's why I wanted to give you the bone broth as well, because there's collagen in that. There's a lot of collagen in that.
Is there naturally in bone broth?
Yep, because all the
Okay.
collagen, so the bone broth is when they take all the bones from the cows and they boil them down. And
Right.
so all the natural minerals and nutrients and collagen ends
Go
up
into-
liquefying and
Right.
going into the broth.
I actually have some turmeric because we have that. I don't know if you know this if you go to the co-op at all, but like we have this bone broth powder,
Yeah.
and I have some. It's bone broth and turmeric.
Oh, yeah.
I don't drink it that much, but I like it. I like heat it up and then put a bunch of hot pepper in there.
Oh, good. Okay, well, try this one and see what you think and juxtapose them against each other.
Okay.
And let me know what you think about it. Now, my goal is that you will eat everything in there within the next week. I want you to try it all, see what you like, and see what works
Okay.
for you. And then you'll also, as you're rereading all your content, you'll see there's additional things on that list that can go in your crash kit that I didn't put in there, okay?
Okay.
Let me get you those cherries before you go.
Okay.
Okay.